All right. Welcome to the Michael. You got a lot of sound coming in there. Yeah, you got to mute yourself. Yep. Yeah. Welcome to the Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. And yeah, welcome to all the people that are here. We got a continuation of a lot of different sort of explanations that I'm giving, extensions of Marxist ideas, right? But we're sort of began by looking at those ideas that are related to Marxist ideology, like for example, those thoughts of Hegel, right? And obviously there's a lot of other ideas that are involved. So if I could presently state how we built up to those ideas about Hegel, right? Looking at many different explanations of philosophical and theological speculations, right, including conventional Christian and Jewish theology, right, the ideas of the occult, right, and the arcane philosophies, right, of the occult, right, and also looking at those mainstream views, right, of the main philosophical thinkers, right. So we've combined lots of different views and uh to look at some of those ideas. So yeah, welcome to Mike. Blessings. Yeah, how you doing today, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. We got Reddington. Blessings, Reddington. How you doing today?
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah, let me take a look at the chat here. Yeah, we got Michael Malzan. Yeah, blessings to you, sir. We got Neutral Ground. Yeah, peace be with you. Yeah, a thumbnail. Yeah, the moth. Yeah, I don't know where I remember this thumbnail from. I thought maybe I used it before, but yeah, hopefully I didn't. But yeah, Moontan, blessings. I appreciate you. Reddington, of course. Healing Comedic. Yeah, peace be with you, good sir. I appreciate your time. So yeah, so as I laid, lots of different issues there, right? In terms of philosophy. In philosophy, the major ideas that we're looking at is those ideas in relation of mind and nature, right? And of the role of humanity, right? Because it seems like in the philosophical juxtaposition, right, to the theological, forms of speculation, it's reason that becomes preeminent, right? So it's man's reason, right? So a lot of the push of philosophy is humanistic, right? And this is why it eventually takes the side of science instead of religion, right? Because a lot of those deistic ideals, right, they needed the concept of natural laws, right, in order to supplant, right, this idea of empiricism, right? Because if you have equality, you have the same forms of sense perception, you have the same type of natural, consistency, uniformity of those laws, right? Then you can evaluate, right, certain aspects of nature, right? You can examine those things, right? So eventually, right, because a philosophy made human reason preeminent, it eventually took the side of science instead of religion, right? But there's this shift, right? So there's this threefold shift, right? As Auguste Comte seems to suggest, right, between you know, um, the theological, the metaphysical, right, and the um, sort of positivist, right, or scientific understanding of the world, right? So he talks about these three successive stages, right? That man went from a religious form of understanding to a philosophical form of understanding to um scientific mode of understanding, right? So essentially, the portrait he's painting in his sort of rudimentary sort of historiography, right, is of philosophy, right, handing theology, or the ideas of human reason from theology, right, into the hands of science, right? So you have this, sort of perceived shift, right? And of course, these are the major paradigm shifts, right? But on a um, level of understanding man's relationship with God and nature, right? It tends to shift a lot, right? Because as I said, man's reason becomes preeminent. Okay. And of course, as we talked about last Tuesday, right? Is this it's about these the relationship between the laws of being and becoming. Okay. So these laws of being and becoming, right, that are seen in right, the ideas of Parmenides versus Heraclitus, right? Okay, they seem to have a shifting they seem to have two different concepts, right, of nature, right? And whether nature is in a state of being or in a state of becoming, and whether change actually happens, right? And where that change, on what level that change happens, what's driving the change, right? That becomes the main concept that Plato and Aristotle seem to debate about, right? Is it the forms that are driving? Is it a top-down system, or is it um based on not only this concept of you know um um of essence, right, but also of a sort of telos, right? Not only of logos, but also of telos, right? Which means this the inner potentiality, right? The thing that's driving from within, right? So, I mean, this relates back to the debate that they're having, right? About alienation, right? About whether God came out of matter, right? Or it's God that invented matter and then drove the system, from the very beginning, right? So where did matter come from, right? If matter obeys natural laws, right, then what were the natural laws doing before the beginning of the universe, right? Because the universe had a beginning, right? This is what science says, right? And this is actually logical. That's based on logical principles, right? Because um, um uh, uh, uh something can't come from nothing, so on and so forth, right? Where there's a cause, there's an effect, and so on and so forth, right? There's a equal exchange of energies, and so on and so forth, right? So there's based on all these laws, right, you can extrapolate, right, from the Aristotelian principles of causation that the universe had a beginning, right? Now, this was a great debate, right, between Aristotelians and the religionists, right, mainly the Christians and the Muslims, right. So they wanted to ascertain, right, how God could have influence over nature, right. So they invented these intermediary concepts, right, such as natural laws, right, and they did this through um using Aristotelian systems or categories, right? Right. So they broke down the universe, right? And they said, well, matter had to have a beginning, right? And since there's a mind, there's a prime mover, and all this stuff. They extrapolated that, right? There had to be a causeless cause, right? And they basically said that this is the prime mover or God, right? So they not only extrapolated that the universe had to have a beginning, right? So that matter was not eternal, right? As Aristotelian said, and they used the Aristotelian categories, right, in order to refute the Aristotelian systems, right? This is different thinkers, right, throughout the Arab and European and you go to Persia and Spain. You had guys like Ghazali. You had guys like Maimonides. Okay, you had guys like Averroes, right? Okay, on the other side of the debate, right? Okay, and Avicenna on the other side of the debate, right? And they're all extrapolating, right, based on this Aristotelian system, but they're all coming to the same conclusion, right? That the universe had a beginning. Okay, they extrapolated this based on their refutation of Aristotelian cosmology using the Aristotelian categories, as I previously stated, right? Now, we could all debate whether or not they were correct in this, right? But obviously, you had these twofold, I guess, threefold ideas, right? One is that the ideas of natural laws in terms of Newton, right? This mechanistic view of the universe, right? These mechanistic laws, right? The second view you have is of the view that man is not at the center of the universe, right? And the third view is the idea of Robert Hooke of the cellular idea, right? So you have internal, external sort of alienation of man from nature, right? Through the modes of science, right? So you have this idea of man versus nature, right? So this is the great Promethean concept of man versus nature, right? Okay.
Machine, can I ask this? But doesn't the law of conservation of energy and matter say that it can't be created nor destroyed? Wouldn't that mean the universe is eternal?
I don't know.
It depends. Like,
it's a great debate.
Does changing of the form of energy into a different form constitute creation, or
right?
No. Or not? I mean, if it's still energy, then it wasn't created. It's just changing forms.
Well, it constitutes a beginning, right? And we could all speculate how that change came about, right? But
the Big Bang isn't saying something was made from nothing. They're saying the universe existed as a state of like pure energy, and then it exploded and created matter.
How Aristotle put it, because he did believe that the universe was eternal, right? He said that God molded matter that already existed, right, through the void, right? According to as some Aristotelian philosophers would speculate, according to already existing laws. Right, this is where the ideas of laws came in. See, what the theologians said, right, was that the universe had to have a beginning, right? And so when science, right, when they posited these concepts of the Big Bang, right, and then they said the Big Bang happened and the universe is expanding, right, right. I believe they were doing so, right, not only based on theology, right, but also based on Aristotle, right? Because they both posit the same thing, right? You see what I'm saying, right? So I'm saying that they couldn't have came to this conclusion just based off of either religion or science. Either a rejection of religion or an adoption of science, right? But it's to prove that main point, right? That it's philosophy that delivered the values of religion, right, the ideas of human reason into the hands of the scientists, right, and that seems like a project, because see what Aristotle was saying is that you have to observe nature and come up with general principles, right? What Plato was saying is that general principles outline how nature develops itself, right? Right, so they're and this he called the forms, right? So it's kind of like a split between inductive and deductive reasoning. You get what I'm saying, right? So it's nothing like, that is going to be resolved at this particular time with the information we have on the table, right? because what we have now is 99.9% of matter is actually space or something like that, right? And it's made of dark matter, and we actually don't
plasma.
Yeah, and we don't actually know what that stuff is, right? We have no concept of what that is, right? So
I think they say it's 96%. But yeah.
right. And then there's a problem of consciousness, right? So there's an idea about you know, now the ancients had this notion more so, right? Because they upon looking at the laws of nature and extrapolating that there's certain general principles that exist, right? They extrapolated that there had to be a mind, right, that had reason, right, that then led to the outline of these general principles, right? So anyways, you have the idea of man and nature, right? And you have the idea of man sort of being separated from the cosmological sort of web of things, right? Because of this concept of mind or reason, right? Which philosophers and theologians had extrapolated. It put man above nature, right? And it also connected man with God, right? I'm really stoned right now, by the way. All right. So it is what it is. All right. But I'm eating some cannabis gummies, and I'm feeling actually 2 days. I've been eating them for 2 days. So it's what it is. I'm very delirious at this point. Right now. But yeah, let me turn this off, take a sip of water. Of course, we have the link in the chat there, right? And I'm rapping about these different ideas, right? Okay. And so as I put it, right, it's about, right, on the ideas of nature. Right, on the ideas of nature. Okay, nature is alive. Right, peopled with spirits. Okay. And of course, this matches both the ideas of Parmenides and Heraclitus, right? It's sort of this mystical concept, right? They said all is one, right? Both Parmenides and Heraclitus believe that all is one, right? This is the great difference that Aristotle and Plato have with them, right? They kind of went more into dualism, right? And they said, well, mind has to be separate from matter, right? There's form and matter, right? And the form comes from, either for Plato, right? This idea of these supernatural forms, right? But for Aristotle, it was this inner potentiality, right? That was driving things, right, towards their, sort of final cause, right? This was one of his categories of thought, right? Okay, that he created, right? So yeah, blessings. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, Jah healing. Yeah. So so I just went on another tangent, right, with the thing about Aristotle and Plato, right, being separate from Parmenides and Heraclitus, but it's a salient point, right? I mean, it's a salient point, right? Because they didn't believe that the mind was separate from nature, right? This was an idea that came about later, right? By thinkers that developed this idea throughout time. Okay, such as Plato and Aristotle, they had to combine these ideas of being and becoming when looking at the ideas of, Parmenides, that said that all is one, but change doesn't exist, right? And that, and the ideas of Heraclitus that said, the thunderbolt, right? This Pir Izun, right? As he called it, Pir Izun, right? I may be totally butchering the pronunciation of that, right? Right, but
close enough, I think.
Yeah, right. I'll Per, like fire, right? And azun, right? It's like a spirit, right? So it's like a fire spirit, right? Let me actually so yeah, Heraclitus believed in this thing. Pir Izun, right? Pir Izun. I think I put too many O's there. That's what it is. Right. So yeah, Pir Izun, right? It's this fire, right? That molds things from within. Okay. Okay, now Parmenides, he rejected that, right? He said nothing in nature changes. Nature is like one cohesive thing, right? And he thought it was complete, right? He thought there's nothing happening, right? Now there's another thinker, right, who was sort of a thinker of Parmenides that said, well, nature is also infinite, right? So he added this quality to Parmenides' teaching, right? And of course, there's also Heraclitus, right, and Anaximander, right? Okay, so Heraclitus is saying, look, everything is constantly changing from within, but it's all one, right? The thunderbolt steers all things, right, from within, right? Now, what Anaximander is saying is that everything evolves, everything changes, right? What actually steers things is the indefinite principle, right? It's chaos, right? So Heraclitus did not believe in sort of chaos, right? But sort of Anaximander, right? Even even Democritus didn't believe in chaos, right? He believed in atoms in the void, and the way they were shaped were by this idea of convention, right? That things coalesce and they form for a certain period of time because of certain ordering principles that take shape over time, right? Yeah, blessings to Michael. Yeah, I appreciate you. Yeah, blessings to Bear Jew. I appreciate you. All right, so I gotta really get speed up here, right? Let's speed up here, right? Right. So when we get to the medieval period, right, and there's many different changes that happen. Okay, between Aristotle and Plato to the medieval period, right? Namely, the entire idea of Christian theology, right? Okay, and also Manichaeanism. Right, so you have separately developing Christianity and also sort of new updated forms of Gnosticism, right, that are greatly influenced by Zoroastrian ideas, right? So that shifts it into the medieval period where you have these ideas, right? You have a strong dualistic, conceptions of the world, okay, and the Albigensians and the Cathari, right? Okay, and of course, you have the ideas of Averroes, right? And Averroes is trying to say that reason and revelation are two different systems, right? Just as Aquinas is talking about how knowledge and faith are two different systems, right? Right. Actually, scratch that. For Averroes, it's knowledge and revelation, right? For Aquinas, it's reason and faith, right? It's kind of similar, but there's important distinctions, right? Right. There's important distinctions there, right? Right, because
faith as in belief, or faith as in like that's your daily walk of things that you do, and probably the former, right?
I think by faith he's talking about some sort of mediation between both grace of God and also revelation, right? Understanding of that, right?
Okay.
So the the mediation of things like Jesus and his entrance into the world and all this type of stuff, but also sort of the grace of understanding the concept of divine salvation and all that type of stuff, right? And of course I'm just riffing, right? But I've read some of Aquinas, right? And yeah, I think his concept of faith would be located there, whereas his concept of reason is an understanding of natural law, right? Based on these Aristotelian principles, right? Because Aristotle is the most up-to-date science of the time, right? So it's like, this is where he's kind of going, right? So if I could outline, right? And of course, for Maimonides, right, he has important distinctions between reason and revelation too, and how it connects to our understanding of nature, and how it connects us to God as well, right? But of course, these are all based on these Aristotelian categories, right? And how they develop over time, right? Now, finally, right? Okay, you have sort of the dislodging, okay, of man's, sort of spatial atlas, right? In terms of, the mechanized laws of nature, right? And nature totally succumbing to this idea of becoming, right? Where this notion of being is totally taken out of nature, right? The notion of mind is totally taken out of nature and put inside man, right? And then it's taken outside of, the individual man and put into the collective man, right? Right, and this is all very relevant to this movement from Hegel to Marx, right? Really, we should talk about Kant to Hegel to Marx, right? Right, of course, both Kant and Hegel had this notion of progress, right? Right, by the time we get from Kant to Hegel, right, we have an affirmation of this notion of progress, right? Which is a sort of temporal dislodging of man, right? So in the 16th century, you have a sort of spatial dislodging, right? With the separation of man from nature, right? And this was seen previously in the ideas of the separation of reason from revelation, or I mean, faith from reason, and knowledge and revelation, right? Seen respectively in, right, Aquinas and Averroes, right? And of course, they were trying to fight this system of Averroes and develop new religious conceptions of how man's reason operates, right, in relation to God's mind, right? And the notion of natural laws, right? Which was sort of a mediator, right, between man's reason and God's sort of creative principle of the logos, right? Again, of course, they had also developed this notion of the logos spermaticos, right? Of the sort of ideas developing over time, right? And that said how certain moral ideas, right, developed in Greek philosophy before the Christian theologians got wind of them, right? Okay, so they had a fundamental notion of progress as well, right? Okay, about this, about the Holy Spirit moving through time, right? And moving us closer and closer to the idealization of God's purpose, right? This is where you have the introduction of the telos into the Christian notion, right? And you have the smuggling in of those notions of evolution within the Christian cosmology, right? In the post-Hegelian sort of synthesis, right, of these ideas. What are the ideas, right? One is the universality of man, right? And I got to stop yapping, right? I got to go into these texts because this is it's too much right, stuff, right? One is the universality of man, right, which is concretized within the idea of the species being, right? Okay? It's sort of collectivized in this notion, right? You have the universal archetypal man, right? Sort of collectivized into the notion of the species being. Right? You have the notion of the hierarchy of being, or the great chain of being, or spirit moving through various forms of nature, idealizing a greater capacity for reason as it moves to higher stages, right? This notion that is fundamental to Aristotle, right, was taken by the evolutionists, right? And sort of the transhumanists, right? Sort of idea of progress, right? Of how man moves towards his idealization, right, into Adam Kadmon, right? So it's sort of eminentizing the eschaton, right? Moving up the great chain of being, right? So you have three notions, right? And a fourth one that is now going to be smuggled in, right? Okay, you have the universality of man, you have the development of man as a species being, right? Okay, you have the notion of separation of nature, right? Separation of man from man and separation of nature from man, right? And this is due to these dual factors of externalization and alienation that is being talked about, right? That man becomes a sort of product of his own creations, right? And this is from the sublimation of cultural forms by technical forms as well, right? Okay, which we mainly talk about on the Wednesday and Saturday shows, right? So yeah, we're going over lots of different ideas, right? But of course, this great idea that Hegel mentioned. Okay, that man. I'm sorry. Mind is the antithesis of nature, and man is its synthesis, right? Well, this notion is sort of extrapolated on by Hegel, right? And his notion of property, right? And man's work creating the status of his I'm sort of being a aspect of his social status, right? And so this being a externalization, right, of his labor, right, where his work sort of becomes a product, right? So he becomes, or his labor becomes a product, right? And this is extrapolated into his separation from nature. Okay, because he's turning nature into these products, right? But it's also extrapolated into nature being the inorganic body of man, and also women sort of being part of man's separation. Okay, so just as he separates himself from nature, okay, he separates himself from his natural aspect of himself. Right? So this means the dissolution between the man and the woman. as well as the relationship, right, is seen as a sort of externalized product, right, of labor and capital and all these externalized aspects. Right, so he says on the most fundamental and psychological aspect, man is changed by becoming a product of his own labor. So let's get into some of it, right? What do you guys think? Let me drop this again. I think I saw Buddha in the chat. Blessings. Yeah, Darth Lorp. Yeah, man. Hope you get better, man. Sad to hear. Yeah, we paranoid chilling. Exactly. Science say everything came from nothing. Whoa. Everything came from everything. Yeah. Exactly. What's cracking? Yeah, I appreciate you guys. Dogma free. Blessings. Okay, let's go on ahead. Tally ho. Where is this? Okay, so we were on page 318, right? And he was saying that private property is thus a product, result, necessary consequence of externalized labor, of the externalized relation of the worker to nature and to himself. So I think that statement basically summarizes everything I just said, right? Right. Okay, I do have some other reflections. Okay, and that is the information about Hegel and Marx, their biographical information. Right. So let's play that for a little bit, and then we'll move to the reading. Okay. And of course, I picked the most sort of you know, critical examination, right, of their life and work. So yeah, mostly negative, right? But yeah. So let's hear Hegel. So an article, this guy was passing away today. He was an American philosopher, came up with the Chinese room experiment. Oh yeah. Yeah, what is that? Searle? I don't know. Here, hold on. Yeah, Searle passed away. Wow. Well, we bashed him on this show.
Hang.
So.
Bashed him into an early grave, I guess.
For saying that the mind is, mechanical, but computers will never be intelligent, right? So we laughed at him. We laughed at him for saying that, the contradictory statement, right? Oh yeah, the mind's already a machine. So nature can create machines, but yeah, machines can't be intelligent. Yeah. Oh yeah, but the mind is an intelligent machine. Oh yeah. So I don't know. He kind of refuted himself, Searle. But yeah, I like Searle. The Chinese room, the Chinese room experiment is pretty interesting. I think that helped them create these language models, right? But yeah, interesting. So yeah, I was right. It's Searle, right? So yeah, check it out. News from Truther about philosophy, history of philosophy, right? John Searle's passing. Yeah, that is news. Where he denied that machines could be conscious. So interesting for him to pass at a time like this, right?
Yeah, right.
NPCs are machines. Yeah. Good material, TML. Yeah, blessings. I appreciate you. Yeah, I know the numbers will be a little low today because we're starting at a different time, and I don't know if everybody got the sort of memo here. So it is what it is. But yeah, let's get to this Hegel.
Put a reminder in the Discord at least.
Yeah. So yeah, here's our our subject, right? Hegel, right? So let's take a look at Hegel, then we'll look at Marx for a little bit, and then we'll move on to Marx economic and philosophical manuscripts, right? Read some of the work of Herbert Marcuse, right? And his One-Dimensional Man, right? And actually I don't know. Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, so I'm looking at where I put my book here. Yeah, so Herbert Marcuse, right, who they extrapolated, right, obviously the notions of Hegel and Marx at the Frankfurt School, right, in Germany, right? He applied those notions of alienation to man in a technological society, right? And of course, that is highly relevant to the discussions of Mumford and Ellul and many others, right? Obviously, Uncle Teddy, right, who's been talking about you know, this dual aspect thing, feelings of inferiority and over socialization. It's one of the main problems, right? This dual enslavement in terms of space and time, right? This is the manifestation of human techniques, right? Where man becomes the object of technique, right? And this is very, very important shift, right? In the social dynamic, right? Because human beings are hard to predict. Their behavior is hard to predict, right? So they have to be brought under line with technique, and the whole thing that brings them under line is human techniques, right? So this constitutes in sort of the elimination of choice, right? And freedom and these things that the system seems to promote, right? Through the concept of humanism, right? So we have to understand how this concept of humanism and liberalism actually developed. If we want to know why the system promotes this false conception of the human in order to supplant its true authoritarian sort of drive, right? So yeah. So let's check this out.
Hume's empirical philosophy had demonstrated the impossibility of creating any further philosophical systems. To build any system, one needed such elements as causality, that is, cause and effect, but Hume had shown that this was a mere supposition, and no one had ever experienced a cause and its ensuing effect. All they had actually experienced was one thing following another. It looked as if this was the end of philosophy. Kant, however, managed to
Yeah, that's kind of like the death nail to philosophy, right? Because it's like, this idea of causality, right? As I said, this is the thing that anoints human reason above nature, right? So once he dethrones this notion of causality, right, he totally deals a death blow to the Aristotelian system, right? And it's like, you're off to the horse races. Now all you have is your sense perception, right, and sense data, right, as Russell says, right? This is Bertrand Russell, right? So you have this total, this sort of morbid shell of empirical speculation, which is really just solipsistic at the end of the day, right? Right. What does he say? He says you can't prove, that you're staring at a table, what color it is, right? Whether it's red or brown or there's different shades of light. It's your eyes meeting the light and hitting the table at a particular angle, and you're only seeing part of the picture, right? So nobody sees anything. Everybody only sees a part of what's going on, and that part is all they'll ever know, right? And this, of course, is sort of, right, the death blow, right? But of course, Kant sort of said, well, the moral ideas don't necessarily have to play into that, right? They're totally different from that, right? You know. Okay, we got Joe Cool. I see the smoke.
What's good, baby?
Yeah, what's going on?
I love that shit you was just saying about I don't know who you was just talking about, but you can't
Hume. Yeah.
Hume, you can't really see the color, you know, nobody really sees anything. Sounds like an interesting cat, bro.
Yeah, that's Russell in Appearance and Reality, right? Yeah, he's kind of a weird dude. I mean, because yeah, he was extrapolating that, you know, since these ideas of causality don't exist, and he totally denied that there's universal principles, right? So these things cannot be known.
We can't be known. I'm not sure that means they don't exist, though, right? I mean, just because they can't be known by us, we don't have the sensory or the intelligence to know these things. But like, say, truth, it can be a real thing as truth, but we're just cavemen. We wouldn't have any idea what it is. And I don't know that that applies to things like color, though. That probably does not. Color is probably a myth. So he was honest with that one. But there could be some universal realities or truths.
Yeah, it's like I mean, as I was saying earlier, I mean, is what can be known, right, tied to, you know, us looking at, I mean, nature, right? So this is what I mean, Aristotle basically said. He said, you look at nature, right? You look at the the causality between things, you establish general principles, right? But what Hume is saying is like, you know, when you look at, you know, two atoms bumping into each other, right?
Yes.
He said it's just like billiard balls,
You're right.
right on
like
a table. Yeah, he said, look, like everything is caused by another more minute cause, right? So you can't actually establish that anything is caused by anything, right? So he said everything is correlation. There's no such thing as cause. He said throw away the idea of cause, right?
No, he shouldn't do that though, because he himself, if that was his statement, he admits that it's caused. It's caused by an infinite amount of things that we cannot understand by another little thing. But even he, I think, has an admission that there is cause. We couldn't grasp it.
Would that'd be infinite regress at some point, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah, I think that's
Because
what
dude,
he
you
said.
have infinite causes. You'd have basically an eternity between one supposed cause to an effect.
Yeah, he did ultimately think that there was more minute causes that caused things. So he did ultimately think there was something to that. He just thought we could not get to the bottom of it.
He's right, man.
So,
we're cavemen. He'd be right there, I think. I mean, we can make assumptions in our reality. I can expect the sun to rise. I can expect the car to do so and so, but I should be smart enough to know that I don't really know what's going on. It's just the observation that happens most of the time. It's not necessarily what I perceive it to be. There's a good example this guy had about I think it was some beetles that almost died out because somebody started throwing bottles into their homeland. As, you know, people started moving in, and all they knew they thought the female was brown because they're a different color, and they started fucking the bottles and stopped fucking the females, and they damn near died out. You know, that could be us. We think we know that this is a female, that car is a car, but it could be a fucking bottle, and we don't know because we can't perceive things. It probably is a bottle. I don't know if that makes sense.
Wild. Yeah, it's like Schrodinger's glory hole. I mean, that old example. I mean, you know, of the cat in, you know, in the dark or whatever. I mean, so yeah, it's interesting stuff for sure. You know, to quote our friend Pinoid, I mean, news. But yeah, so that's the basic problem, right? But as I explained, that was already a perception of how the laws of nature and all those things. So I mean, obviously these things can't be established. So Kant had to save this idea, right, of empiricism on the one end, okay, and on the other end, universal principles, right? So he added things like space and time,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he said basically based on Newtonian physics, there's general principles that we need in order to observe anything, right?
I'm in agreement with dude, and I'm in agreement with your friend. You could take that into infinite regressions as well. But just so we can communicate, I think dude is right. You know, I like the stance that he's taking.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how they try to figure out empiricism and how it relates to the human mind and the laws of nature, and try to establish a connection between all these vague concepts. But they had to put everything in its appropriate category, and yeah. So let's take a look at what Hegel came up with based on this. Because we're also going to go with Thomas Sowell on Marx. He has a lot of things because he's a libertarian, so he really hates Marx, right? So that's what it is, right? So his critique is going to be pretty negative as well.
Okay.
Invent this catastrophe. He suggested that causality was merely one of the ways in which we apprehend the world, like space and time, color, and so forth. Hume had been right. The world didn't contain such a thing as causality. Instead, it was in us, our way of perceiving the world. Building on this foundation.
Yeah, take a look at this quote, right? Governments have never learned anything from history or acted on principles deducted from it.
Oh,
right. And of course, he thinks that the spirit of world history is moving the great changes within the state.
He said that what's moving them, the events from world history are moving them. Is that what you said?
Yeah, the spirit of world history. This is what he calls
it. The spirit of world history. Okay. Yeah. It's moving these niggas.
Yeah. Oh yeah, literally. Like he said that Napoleon is the spirit of world history on horseback.
I dig it. I understand.
They're literally moving.
Yeah.
He's a culmination of ideas in one man, so to speak, that's driving the great changes within the state. Right. So this is how much Hegel believed in the notion of progress. He literally said governments have never learned anything from history.
They're just acting reactively to shit that's going on. They're not driving no shit.
Right.
Dennison argued
because
this, but
governments are a bunch of psychos, so they don't care about learning anything.
Yes, it's not on their to-do list anyway, right? Themselves is what.
Right.
Dennison argues
what
this,
is that?
but not as well. Nowhere near as well. I'm glad he's not here. I'd be hearing "I told you so" and shit like that. But now I'm thinking he had a strong argument. He didn't present it as good as you guys are doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm really trying to present different sides. Yeah, different sides of the same issue. I mean, so
that was his belief that everything had, you didn't really control a damn thing. He really believed that shit.
Right. He believed in determinism, right? So yeah, so it's wild, yeah. And that's what Dennison believes too. So it's interesting, right? So he'll argue that for a long time. Remember?
Yes.
Yeah.
Foundation. Kant managed to construct by means of reason an all-embracing philosophical system that explained everything. In a series of all but impenetrable works, Kant proceeded to explain his system to the world. The great era of German metaphysics was...
Yeah, please go ahead.
I used to have a friend, an online friend. He's Slovenian, and he was a Hegelian, and he was a transhumanist also. If you want, I can ask him to come on here to talk to him or whatever in the future. But I used to argue with him.
Looks like he fit in here. Yeah, it looks like the right place for your friend.
Yeah, that would be fun. Yeah, that would definitely be a fun discussion.
Yo, man, like, can I throw up an argument? Right, because I feel like governments are constantly like learning from like history.
I know where he about to go, baby. This go
right, like he's wrong off the bat. I mean,
No, I know he's about to go. They learned. Oh, go ahead. I'll let him say it.
Like, yo, listen, like literally, like the USSR was a reaction to like the Industrial Revolution and like what was happening with like liberalism across the European continent. The same with like Nazism and fucking fascism. Like the American government was formed because it was like learning from the principles of feudalism and like, you know, I mean, combining like Roman fascist ideologies in the Republic. Like literally, like me and Rugged Machine Lies sat here for like 2 hours and went through John Adams' work where he just wholesale picked up entire chapters out of Machiavelli, right? You know what I mean? Out of like fucking his like discourses on Levy, right? Where like he just dropped whole chapters into like his books that he was writing during the writing of the Constitution. What is like, yo, the governments learn constantly.
I'm thinking, dude, as an argument there, you can, how insidious they are. They've learned, and what they use for ill behaviors, but the fact that they are able to be this insidious, it seems like they learned something and using it in a bad way.
Well, can I make an argument that they're doing like, all right, let me put it like this, right? If we all did what the government wanted us to do, their system would work and everybody would eat and be happy and merry, right? You know what I mean? Like everybody would be content and have all the things that they need. But the problem is like we don't want to behave in the manner in which they think would do the most good. It's why like they look at the GDP, right? GDP goes, you know, when the GDP goes up, that means everybody in the country materially got better. Right, but ultimately, does that mean socially we got better? Like, you know, I mean, societally have we gotten better?
Change necessarily in our lives. Not necessarily. That's just more money for them to gamble with it and spend. I'm not saying this ICE facility is breaking up. All the protests is breaking up. Yeah, I've been seeing that shit in the news. This is one of the facilities going all over the place, all over the country on the news. They've been shooting the shit out of us.
Yeah, Gabriel, but I mean, just as cattle. That's funny.
I mean, but like it's yo. The whole point is though is like we're supposed to be governed like cattle, right? We're not supposed to be like governed as individuals because we've never been individuals.
So does that mean what they wrote when they was writing that Constitution, that the free man, every man, leave him alone, don't fuck with him, all these rights? Does that mean that from the start it was a gimmick and they meant to govern us?
Are you talking about the Pennsylvania rights and privileges, or are you talking about like the actual Constitution?
Forefathers, the Constitution.
Yeah, so what you're talking about, the right to be left alone, is a Pennsylvania charter, right? Like that's in the right of charter. That's the Charter of Rights and Privileges from William Penn in 1689.
You'd agree it's in the Constitution as well, yeah?
Not at all. In no way is it in the Constitution.
Really? Don't make no laws abridging freedom to speak.
Don't make no laws abridging like the right of individuals to worship as they see freely.
All that, right? It seems like they're trying to say you can't touch this man in the Constitution.
Nah, man, listen, they said like anything, right, not mentioned in this Constitution is thereby like dictated to the states, right? And the states can make laws all they want to.
Yeah, but see, that's more trickery, right? Because in the beginning, when they say, and I'm sorry if this is not what you do on here, Machine Lies, you don't talk a lot, but in the beginning, they said,
I know it's all good.
My man. They say that we know that man has certain rights among them, and they list some of them, meaning that there are a host of other rights out there that they are not supposed to be fucking with. So if the Constitution reads that the states can affect those other rights that we didn't name, then it's they trying to game me, I'd have to assume.
Well, I mean, they said life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? But none of these are actual things.
But that's a longer debate, right? Because, you know, I don't know. I think rights is a thing. No one agrees with that shit.
No, I mean, like, listen, so if you're reliant upon that piece of paper or the government honoring that piece of paper.
Oh, right? Man, I know better. I'm a cop. It's not a thing, son.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, ultimately, do you actually have any of these rights?
I'm just telling philosophies. No, those rights that they have, you do not have them. They do not protect them. But the ones they spoke of that exist, rights do exist in a sense that under God, nature, whatever it is, reality, whatever you want to call it, the universe, that I guess it is under some spiritual or something, that it is okay for me to pretty much do what I want if I don't hurt no other man and deprive him of his property. I have the right to talk today, right? I have the
All right.
yeah.
So let me ask you something, right? So this is some basic ass shit, right? Or this is like a really good ideology about this.
Yeah.
If a man was born, right, that could stand here and hypnotize other men into giving up their rights and their freedoms and their land and their property, right? Mm-hmm. And he did this so much that he ended up owning like half the country.
Sounds like reality right now. Go ahead.
No. I mean, like, he just could do it inherently, right? You know what I mean? With no, like, legal trickery, no bullshit, just, like, hypnotically, he had this ability.
Okay.
Right? Would the government be right to take away his life in order to protect everybody else's?
Yes, if I was going to say, if you're not harming someone, and then, you know, that's kind of subjective, but if you're not harming someone, I don't know what exactly his giving up their rights entail. If they're doing it under a signed and they agree, yes. If it's hypnosis, probably harm. It can be an argument for harm can be given.
Yeah, I mean, like, but this is just what this is, right? In the end of the day, right? You know, like, literally, like, you know, your government, they honor things, right? You know what I mean? Because, like, yo, they have to, or because, like, they want to at the moment. They don't have to. You know what I mean?
I would agree with that. I mean, most things they don't honor. And, you know, I'm a cop watcher. They don't honor shit out here. None of their laws. I would agree with that.
But they're always learning constantly, right? They're always updating their shit. They're always, you know what I mean, like, adopting new principles and, like, fucking ideologies. In particular, like, in ours, because we had this cathedral model where, like, you know, a lot of the government ends up taking its notes from Harvard, Princeton, Yale, Georgetown, NYU, you know what I mean, like the big Ivy League schools, right? And they take those principles that are learned not just from, like, the government workers and from, like, the media, but also from, like, corporate CEOs that end up being birthed out of these places, right? And they adopt them into the government because, like, literally, like, they'll have these individuals come back and send people into the government, you know what I mean, and maintain those ties.
I would agree.
So the government's always updating what it does.
I would agree. They say they select the people who are most willing to bend and pliable to the philosophy that you just described from those schools, and they, you know, and they put them under the tutelage of people who ascribe to that philosophy.
Right. I mean, it's not just that. They'll take the individuals who are just going to be the most compliant. Right. That's what schools are. Right. But ultimately, it's also going to be an individual who's willing to take the most risk to get to where they're going to get to.
Yes, those would be the Ivy League cats that I'm talking about. That they do.
Have you ever watched Professor Jang? Have you ever watched Professor Jang? Yeah.
I know a white chick, but I don't know if with gray hair, but I don't know if that's the Jane you're talking about.
No, it's a dude. He he teaches out of, like, Toronto or, like, China or whatever. He's a Chinese guy who's in Canada, right? And he has this course that he teaches, which is called Predictive History, and he puts his lectures up on YouTube, and they're fucking fascinating. And he talks about how he got accepted to Yale. Right, and the reason he got accepted to Yale was because, like, he came from this extremely impoverished background and ended up, you know what I mean, standing here, like, getting, like, a 4.0 GPA, like, regardless of where he came from, and then, like, doing, like, these crazy extracurricular activities. And he said the reason Yale took him is because they're like, hey, listen, we want a guy, right, who, you know what I mean, comes from nothing and is going to build something. Because that guy there, you know what I mean, is going to be the dude who's most likely to make waves in the world later.
I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second. This thick white chick is walking up to the car.
Nah, man, I feel where you are, bro. I feel where you are. I got you. I understand you. Listen, you're talking to a dude, right? You know, listen, bro, I got 8 kids with 5 bitches. Like, I understand where you are, right? Like, you know, they call me Genghis Khan where I come from, right?
Okay, all right. I'm trying to refocus.
Right.
Oh, I think I did see that dude. I think I did see him. Now that you mention it, he said he could predict what was going to happen, and he gave a prediction of 10 things. Somebody showed me that shit. I bet it's the same cat, man. I took a picture of the fucking predictions too, just recently. I bet it's the same cat. He said he don't know if they're going to come true, but he even say he can give you an estimate of how long it's going to happen because they're all just patterns, and that was great.
Yeah, he did. He's doing some like really good work. He was talking about like geriatric, like how we're like a geriantocracy, right? Where like the old people are basically running the young, and that's the reason why like nobody's able to get anything anymore, right? It's because the old are trying to live forever, and they're basically like cannibalizing the young, right? It's fucking fascinating shit. And by the way, this is the big thing, bro. Like in the end of the day, when it all comes down to it, it's about keeping the system moving forward.
Agreed.
Keeping the system at hand. It's not about greed. It's not about corruption. It's not about any of the dumb bullshit that we want to stand here and try to apply to things. Yo, it's literally just about keeping the system running.
Yes.
At all fucking cost.
The way they have it set up with this debt bullshit, they have X amount of growth anticipated for these things to occur. So there is room for this to happen, but you must keep growing the country, which means you must keep controlling these people and keep them producing kids and producing the workforce and all those things.
Yo, dead all that noise. Dead that noise altogether. Here's really where it is, right? In the same way you really don't want Russia to collapse, right? Because they have 8,000 nuclear fucking warheads. Right. The same way you don't want the United States to collapse because they have 6,000.
That's a great one.
And a giant arsenal of like insane shit. Because what would happen if the government stopped paying the military and all those soldiers had all those boats and planes to do whatever they wanted in order to make their own shit?
Yes. Or if the wrong guy took control, they wanted to stay. It's an investment in their interest too to keep it stable the way it is. Because let's say some Antifa guy, somebody gets control of all this shit, it's even worse.
Again, where we are. This is where we are right now. It's just keep the system going. It's not corruption. As much as we'd love to stand, as much as I'd love to go like, yeah, everybody just terrible and corrupt, whatever. Right? Like, yeah, motherfuckers is making their bones and eating off the system. But at the end of the day, they just want to keep kicking the can down the road so they can keep remaining infallible because the government's God now.
Agreed. All right. Let me ask you something. You seem like a wise cat. I've seen this seems to fall on deaf ears, but I think that I could pretty much determine how evil, if that's a thing, a person is by how much they want to control other people or other person. I think that goes for the government will be super evil because they're built on control. Even your friend is a bit shitty. It's the evil or bad and whatever you want to call it when he wants to control your narcissistic ex. Control seems to be an indicator of that bad shit in a person. To the point where I'm just using it to see how bad a motherfucker is. If a motherfucker ain't trying to control someone else, he's TML. Right.
Let me ask you a principle. Let me ask you a principle real quick, right? Do you believe that responsibility should match authority?
I guess in some ways the answer is yes.
All right. So wait.
Because when you hurt,
hang on, wait. Do you believe, right, that responsibility should match authority?
Only in extreme cases, like for instance, when
listen, you're not realistic. You're not a serious person, bro. You're not a serious person.
Listen, if someone's fucking up, beating up my neighbor and she's an old lady, suddenly my responsibility and my authority.
You don't have any authority over your neighbor. Again, so here's where it is.
Yes.
So your children are your responsibility. Mm-hmm. Do you have to have authority over your children because they're your responsibility?
Well, that's one point of view. That's your point of view.
No, period. No. This is basic. This is basic fucking principles.
Basic your fucking principles and opinions. I can retain mine, nigga. What?
No, you can't. This is reality.
Yes, your reality, nigga. That shit.
No, this is reality, dog.
Listen, I have duties down here, whether you believe it or not. I have duties to help other people under God. So
no. If you're responsible for what happens, so if somebody does something and you're responsible for what they do, okay, right? Like if you have a dog, like this, we make it even easier. You have a dog, okay?
Yeah.
You're responsible if that dog bites somebody. Is it your responsibility to keep him on a leash?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay, I get you that part. Yeah.
Right. So you have to have authority over that dog to make sure that dog does what you say, so it doesn't bite people.
Let me ask you, to see if we're on the same page. If someone is beating up some old lady, your next door neighbor, her husband's out of town, you know it, someone's beating her up, do you have any responsibility or authority to help her?
Okay. I don't have any authority, right? Now, if you want to make me responsible, then like I have to have authority over that old lady.
Okay, so you don't think that you would help her because you don't have the authority or responsibility? Is that
that's not what I'm saying, right? What I'm saying is if you're going to make me responsible for what happens to her, okay, and responsible for that man's household, I have to have authority over that man's household while he is not there.
I'm saying you're responsible. I'm talking about duty. Do you feel a duty to help that lady? It ain't your responsibility. You can let her die. Do you feel a duty?
I mean, listen, of course, I'm a communitarian, right? Like, I believe in community. I'm Italian. Like, I have that whole mentality. But that's not the point. The point is, if you're responsible for something, you have to have authority over that thing.
Yes, I would agree. But
if you're responsible, if you own a business, you have to have authority over that business, correct?
I understand. I gave you that to begin with. I'm trying to talk about the rare example. Remember, I told you I agree with you, except the rare example. This is why I'm harping on the rare example. Yes, the other shit's obvious. But I would argue that when I'm beating up that guy who's fucking up the old lady, I am exercising some type of authority. I have a responsibility to do those things. Shit changed suddenly, these weird examples. They're arguable.
No, all right. Okay, look, I agree. So therefore, the police, right, also have the authority to whoop a motherfucker's ass, right, when they're being irresponsible in the street.
Everybody has it. If irresponsible, you mean hurting other people and depriving other people, then we're in agreement. Yeah.
Okay, now, so here's the thing. If the government is responsible, right, for like the safety and like protection and well-being and economy of the humans around them, of the humans in their like general like vicinity, whatever the government's fucking area is, they have to have authority over the said citizens, which means they have to dictate what they can and cannot do.
Yes, I'm not so sure the government has that responsibility. I wouldn't have gave that part up. They don't have the same way me or you have the would go over there and beat them up. It applies to everyone, including a government. But it's not my responsibility, as I'm not giving it their responsibility. I don't agree. But I understand.
I mean, wait. So like, here's another part of this, right? If the government's responsible for the health of the nation after they turn 65, the government has to have authority over what you put in your body up to that point.
Oh, I would agree with you 100%.
Yo, listen, again, so we're not talking like this is the problem with these mentalities, bro. Like, listen, they want control because they have authority. When you don't have authority over something, right, and you have responsibility for it, you are that thing's slave.
Yes, I was going to go there. That's where this goes to. Is it under contract? Can you opt out? Otherwise, yes, you are
the government either becomes a slave, right? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you are in, like, for instance, you're like a supervisor, right? And like, or for instance, you're a husband of a family, right? And in that family, right, you have a responsibility over everybody in that family, right? Whatever they do, you have to pay for. If you don't have authority, you are basically that family's slave.
Yeah, you're being pimped out at that point, right?
Yeah, right. So this is the This is why, like, dudes in a family or like the head of a community, right, who is responsible for what a community does. Let's say, like, we have, I don't know, like 1,000 people in the community, right, a little town or whatever, right.
Right.
Now, the person who's like is responsible for fixing the roads and the bridges and the sewage lines and the motherfucking water, all that stuff, right. That guy there, he has to have authority over what they put in those pipes, what they drive on those roads, and what the fuck it is they run over those bridges.
We're in agreement. Yes.
Right. This is government, buddy.
That
is government.
Sorta.
It's basic.
Kind of, sort of. Let's stay with the 1,000 people. Government puts one nigga in charge. He controls the water, the sewage, all of that bullshit. In the 1,000 people, we can have it where we choose who is the coldest. Well, fuck, dude is the best architect, and so. So we're gonna get him to design this. Fucking so and so is the best at building shit. We're gonna put him in charge here. It's agreed upon. Government, you don't really get a fucking say. They tell you do. No, it's not. That's not the way it works. Cause in this, I can opt out at any time. If it's the guy who I put in authority and he's building the roads, I don't like it. I say, hey man, I'm going home. Fuck this. I think you're doing a shit job. That's not a thing in government as we know it. You do as told or you're penalized.
Well, yeah, I mean, because, like, most motherfuckers don't want to have any responsibility. Like, as human beings, we are allergic to responsibility.
Agreed. This is why we're willing to let them control us and encourage other people to control, because at least we think our responsibilities are less. Daddy's going to take care of us, or God, as you put it when you first walked in.
Right. So, like, again, this is the problem, right? Is so, like, as a people, we have relinquished responsibility. So therefore, we have relinquished authority.
Agreed. As a people, agreed.
Right. And when you relinquish responsibility, you relinquish authority. You cannot maintain authority when you relinquish your responsibility.
Okay, let me try and wrap my head around that. When you can't have authority anymore, when you relinquish it, that's what's occurring now, right? I'm outside of
that's what's been occurring for fucking 150 years.
Yeah. I would agree with that. So.
Right. So, like, this is where we are. I don't know what to tell you. Right. This is how government works. This is what government is. You can't make people responsible unless, like, you let them die.
Some dude just pulled up in a big box truck. I know it's too dark out here. Y'all probably can't see that.
I see him.
Okay, they pulled up in a big box truck. He got his signs. These are, I guess, they're gonna be here all night. These are protesters, man. I guess they're gonna be here all night.
Right. You understand? You understand what I'm saying?
Say it again. Repeat it. I'm like a squirrel, and I'm
so, like, yo, listen. All right. When you relinquish responsibility, you relinquish authority.
Agreed.
And we as a people have relinquished authority or responsibility a long time ago.
Yes. I would agree. I would argue that right now, the government has relinquished responsibilities, but still trying to retain authority. Right? They're not handling their responsibilities, but they still want to be in authority, and that's why people are acting out. That's why these people are out here now. They feel like you're not handling your responsibilities. You're supposed to do this shit for me.
No. That's not it, right? What it is, right, is that, like, yo, what we did is we sat here as a people and said, hey, listen, we are not going to stand here and be responsible for our fellow citizens, right? And in not being responsible for our fellow citizens, right?
Right.
We sat here and let them fucking starve and be harmed, right?
Yes.
Just as a whole. And then we sat here and brought in all these fucking immigrants to do their fucking jobs. And then expected everybody just to climb the goddamn ladder and go to college. Now, that was what the government said, hey, listen, we will make it so that you have the opportunity to be able to get good, well-educated, right, and do what you have to do and climb this ladder, right, as a whole. And if you do this and you do what we tell you to do, you will be successful, right? But most of us said, go fuck yourself.
Right.
Because we didn't want to be responsible, right?
That's an argument. That's an argument, but not a great one. And the one that you're giving right now, everybody must comply and agree. There's a lot of we that I have to accept in order for these things to be true. In reality, that we, I don't agree to none of this shit. Most of the people I fuck with, we didn't relinquish responsibility. We took our own. It's my responsibility to do what I got to do, help my neighbor. It was never theirs. I never gave it to them. Right? That's what's happening.
But that's the average person did. The average person ran to the fucking suburbs and hidden in the HOA, you know what I'm saying, and tried to avoid motherfuckers with your skin tone.
Agreed.
Right? And they didn't want to be responsible for their fucking neighbors.
All of that shit. Yes.
Right?
Yes. They want the government to tell them what to do, and
no. They would much rather be safe and much rather be secure. And they would much rather stand here and hide, right, behind their ability to motherfucking make money, right, than be able to sit here and actually have any responsibility for anyone around them.
Agreed. You can tell that too. When the person goes to, as a metric, money, the car, their IRA or whatever the fuck it is, when they go there, it's a great indicator that they don't, what's important to them is not mercy, forgiving, having face, being a good person or whatever the fuck. Those things are secondary, tertiary.
Well, I agree, right? As an in general thing, I 100% agree with you, right? Yeah. But like, and this is where we are right now. Is everybody is trying to like be individuals and hide and avoid the fucking system, and not be part of a community, not be part of a nation, not be part of a people.
Agreed. And we're in 1,000% agreement. I don't know you, man, but I'm of that percentage that feel like it's incumbent upon me. I'm a cop watcher. I go out, film the police. I hold officials accountable in other different ways. I'm an activist. I'm one of the guys that feel like I'm one of those guys that suburbs is poison. Those people are slaves and drones. I'm one of those idiots.
Yeah, listen, I agree, right? I 100% agree with you, and like I've been on this shit for a long time, right? Like I'm an Appalachian. I was born in the fucking mountains. I moved to a fucking homeless shelter when I was a fucking pup, right? Like I was potty trained in an outhouse, son. Right. You know what I mean? I'm one of the last of the fucking Mohicans out this bitch.
That's right. Yeah. Just that Appalachian shit alone, right? That'll do it. Yeah.
Right.
I'm from the ghetto on the west side of Chicago. I grew up there. I just stopped hustling maybe less than 10 years ago. So I'd be one of them wild cats too.
I mean, like, yeah, I'm from fucking Harrisburg, right? This is where I grew up, like, majority of my fucking life in the city, right? I mean, down in motherfucking South Side and Home Manor and shit. Like, I got you, right? I understand. I got a 45 hole in my back from when I was 8. I did. 8. You know what I mean? I did my time in placements and shit when I was a pup, right?
I dig it.
The only time to ever pulled a gun out has been on the police. Like, I'm one of those guys. I get it.
Right. I dig it.
Like my oldest son is upstate right now, right? Like I feel you. I know what this is.
Yeah.
But like it's one of these things where you have to like understand it. Like the average human being isn't interested in being their brother's keeper.
They're not. They're not interested in freedoms and liberties or shit like that. They're interested in security.
They're interested in security and being an individual.
They do want to be an individual, but they'd have to surpass or surmount your argument that you're not allowed to be an individual because you signed up for the bullshit. You got to do what's told. You can't have it both ways.
I mean, they're corporate, right? In the end of the day, right?
Yes.
They want to be a drone. They want to climb that fucking ladder. They want to make their fucking money and go home and have their wife and 2.3 kids or whatever it is. Well, today they don't even want the 2.3 kids. They want the PlayStation and the motherfucking Fortnite and shit. That's all the fuck they want. That's modern day.
Yeah, to be left alone, man.
Yeah, right? And they want to be an individual. Again, they don't want to be part of a community and be responsible for a community, responsible for a people, responsible for their family, be part of a lineage. They don't want none of these things.
I'm in agree with you, man.
But again, you can't have a lineage and a people and a nation of 350 million humans on a continent. That's fucking impossible.
Is that true?
Not you can't. It's fucking impossible.
It probably is because you just can't have agreement. But
no, I mean, like, listen, geographies create cultures, right? So, like, when you're in the swamps in Louisiana, you are not going to have the same culture as somebody who lives on the beach in California.
Agreed. So I don't know about the lineage shit though, because I can go over there and hang out the country and fuck some country girls, and my lineage carries on. And outside of my culture, my lineage is still a thing. We can all fuck each other and retain cultures.
I mean, remotely, but again, like, you have to have like an intact culture and the people in the community, right?
Yeah.
You can't have motherfuckers bringing in things that are bad for your community.
Again, that's what I started with. As long as it's not hurting other people or that type of shit, we should be able to all get along. As long as we agree on that.
I mean, like, how do I put this? Like, you can't have transsexual motherfucking like pride parades walking down the fucking street in a community where, like, you need your kids to continue to go farming.
Yes, that could be detriment. Well, that's fucked up. I don't want to envision the gay shit first, so it's hard for me to even.
But this is reality, though, right?
Yes, half of those farm kids might be like, "Go, queen," and suddenly take on those characteristics.
Listen, like, I was living up in the mountains like fucking 2 years ago, right?
Me too.
And I got my kids over here at the park, and and they're playing on the slide and the swings, and I'm playing basketball, right? Because I'm from the projects, right? Yeah. And I'm hanging the fuck out, and literally, like, these two kids walk up to me. It's a brother and a sister, right?
Yeah.
The sister walks up with her fucking drag in her voice, right? And fucking goes, "How are you? My name's Axel, and my pronouns are he, him."
All right.
Right. And they're in the fucking mountains. Right. They're surrounded on 3 sides by mountains and a river in front. The town of 1,000 people with a little fucking hardware store and no red light in the fucking town.
Right. Still, they found them.
Right. Again, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, either we all agree with this, right, and we all let all this happen everywhere, and we end up, it's like this monoculture of like bug men, or we have like individual communities where we are responsible for each other. What up?
What do we lose? I guess we lose a couple farm kids to the trans community, man. But it's worth it suddenly in the end, man, because we want motherfuckers to be themselves, man. If they grow up and that's the fuck they want to do, knock yourself out. If you're not harming no one, I can't force you to stay here just so I can have enough farmers. That's not smart. Plus,
no, it is smart. It is smart because you're losing you're brain draining your community. Right, you need higher end people in your community, mental power.
Wait. See, this is a different subject. All I was thinking is you take away from the workforce. Now you're saying that the philosophy that comes with it, the mentality and those things. I think that's what you're saying.
No. I'm saying you need business owners, right, and guys who are going to run things, people who are going to carry that community into the future. You can't just leave dumb motherfuckers there.
Business people, welders, chemists. I got trans buddies that do all that shit.
Yeah. I feel you, right? But I don't need them to be trans. I need them to be part of that community and build that community up so they can have businesses that feed that community later on.
I am saying the same way a black motherfucker could do it, a white motherfucker, trans could do it.
Bro, listen, I'm in the hood right now, and I swear to God, 3 or 4 of the motherfuckers around me got chickens. You know what the drug dealers do now? They flip houses.
Yes, here too.
They're building businesses. I fucking agree. I don't look down upon like anybody's people. What I'm saying is you need your people to stay there and not fucking leave.
All right, that's another one. Another argument. Okay, yeah. Once they start leaving, I don't know if that's such a deficit either.
What?
No, really, because let's say half the people leave. Well, you only have to supply half the things, so you only need half the workforce suddenly. So it's not such a it's not a death blow that they left.
Let me explain something to you, right? Production is not linear.
Agreed. I'm not a 2-year-old motherfucker. You explain something to me like that.
Production is not linear, right? When you go from like 500 people producing things, right, to 250. You don't go
Yes.
from being able to produce, say, like 100,000 things to 50,000. You go from 100,000 down to 10,000.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So what?
You become
figured out-
ultimately less productive, right?
Well,
When you
that'll be
lose,
for a moment
the more people
until-
you lose, you become way more less productive. And on top of that, what you're doing is you're not losing the people, right? And this is the fucking problem, right? Is you're losing the people who would be the individuals who would literally like support the rest of them and carry that community forward.
It's no big fucking deal. So instead of a community of 1,000 great people, I got a community of 500. So what?
I feel like you're not understanding. Do you know
I'm
what brain
clearly
drain is?
not.
Do you know what brain drain is?
I do not.
All right, so like what America does, right, is we brain drain other countries. Like one of the big reasons that like a lot of poor countries stay poor is because every time like they get like geniuses and motherfuckers who are really smart, they leave there
Yes.
and come here.
Okay.
So instead of like them building a factory or building, you know what I mean, like a fucking office building or building a tech sector in where they live, they
Yeah.
build it here. Right? And they're not employing their people where they come from. So their people are worse off without them.
I understand the concept. And what? I only have responsibility for myself anyway. I
see?
gotta grow, right? I gotta grow
Avian.
enough. Wait, I
Avian.
wasn't done. I wasn't done. I only have to grow enough for my own food, take care of my own family, and those things. The rest is an endeavor that I choose to go on with other motherfuckers. They don't have an obligation to me to make some type of big corporation and all of those things. They're not obligated to do. If they want to go into another country, great, because in the end, I still have to be able to take care of mine. I can't be dependent on that fucking corporation shit anyway. I was an idiot.
You know, we
You
were
sound
just
like-
talking about how me and you have responsibilities
Yes.
in our communities
Yes.
to other people.
Yes. And it's not a corporation, right? It's the You know- What? What?
Don't, bro.
Oh, what?
Don't. We have responsibilities to other people. Right?
Agreed. Yes.
Okay. The exchange for us having responsibilities to those other people, right?
Yes.
Is that those other people exist. And those other people,
I'm
you know what
okay.
I'm saying? The reason why, you know what I mean, that you protect the individuals around you. Like, for instance, when I was in the mountains, my next door neighbor was a volunteer firefighter and an EMT, right? The EMT, he made about, I think, $8.50 an hour driving the ambulance, right? It was mostly like a
Yeah.
volunteer type of gig, right? He made almost nothing. But this guy, he did that, right? He did the firefighting thing. And on top of that, he had like a regular job where like it was real low level type of dude. So he worked a lot of hours. And his wife was all banged up. His yard would get out of control on a regular basis. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, fucking shit all over the place, you know, fucking grass all uncut, fucking weeds all fucked up, whatever. And the
Yeah.
township would get upset about the condition of his yard. And
Right.
I'm like, you know what, bro? I like having a fucking EMT guy next door to me because I have children. So I'd go and cut his fucking grass. And I'd trim his fucking trees. And I'd trim his
Yeah.
fucking bushes. And I'd fix
Right.
his fucking tractors. And I'd take care of him. Because that's something I want in my community.
I understand those things. That's when I said nature. Early on, I said you can reach it through God, so and so in nature. Nature tells you it's best to help your neighbor because one day you may need him. I agree with these things. But it does not argue that I must make him stay here now because he is an EMT and I need him for my kid. And if he moves away, I am somehow I should not allow it. These things are no. That man's got to be a free man. Under every day I get with him while I got an EMT next to me, I was a lucky dude. If he leaves, so be it. That's part of life, man. I got to adjust. I don't owe no duty to make him stay there. I'm mad at the guy who was like, you know,
I want to indoctrinate
a job.
I want to indoctrinate the kids so they do stay there, so they feel like they have that responsibility to that community.
Right.
In the
don't
same
know
way that
about
we're
that.
indoctrinated to support the fucking flag and go, I fucking love America, rah rah, yeah, right, fuck yeah,
Yeah.
right. In the
Yeah.
same way we're indoctrinated with all that fucking bullshit, right?
Yeah.
I want to indoctrinate the kid to say, you are part of this. You're part of something bigger than you, that's more important than you, that will
Yeah.
exist after you and existed before you, and you have a responsibility to it.
That sounds like more government shit. I'd rather going to get gas. I'd rather indoctrinate that kid with the principles and the shit that allows our town to be so successful and loving, and send that nigga off, or let him allow him to go off, so he can send those principles elsewhere in the world with other people who need to learn these things. You know, there's some dignity in that. I don't want to hoard them all for myself. I need them to go out and talk to other people and live in other places and redo my shit.
Why?
My responsibility to other people again. This is the best way to put those ripples out
I don't
there.
have any responsibility to a Californian. I have no responsibility to a Texan.
So your responsibility lies in your borders. Does that mean that you're anti-immigrant?
Oh, 100%.
Oh my God.
Like, yo, if it was up to me, I'd take every immigrant in the country, cut their head off, and put it on a fucking pike around the borders of this fucking country, and put it in front of every airport to let them know what's going to happen to them.
Yeah, it's logical. Yes, the fear-based nonsense, right?
Not fear-based nonsense. I lost 40 grand a year over the last 5 years because
And
of the
it's
fucking
immigrants'
immigration
fault?
Being pumped in.
Right. You sure?
I was about to say, TML, we need to put the disclaimer up.
Yeah, because that's the same shit that I heard, and I wasn't even alive when the Irish came in. They taking our jobs. These dirty
did.
so and so's. No
They did.
Irish, no so and so.
They did.
And now
They did.
yes, I agree. I'm still here. I know I have Irish friends. I'm not leveling something fascinating here. Yes, same shit with black folk. How they taking our jobs? These dirty, lousy so and so. Same shit.
I mean, we can
Immigrant
have this.
Chinese.
You want to have this conversation? Because I'm down for
Every-
having this conversation. Because this is
I'm
a
having it
fascinating
right now
one.
when you're interrupting me.
That's a fascinating combo.
Yes, and this place that we call America is now part Irish. The borders that you should want to keep niggas out, it has all these races in it. That's what it become. It is not the American you know with niggas like you. They'd have never happened. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, first off, right. I mean, the blacks were brought to the north to break the fucking unions and the ethnic enclaves of the immigrants that were already here.
Reasons and why I'm not sure that that's going to matter in the argument that we're having, but
Right.
Thank
But like,
you.
listen, again, this is what's being done with the immigration right now. Is they're being brought in to break the motherfucking the current workers of this country to fucking make sure they're impoverished, right? To keep the fucking prices down, to keep the boomers fucking 401ks coming.
it happens. People get used all the time. My next
Yo,
door
listen,
neighbors are
you're
are fan of the cops
impoverishing-
and call the cops on me all the time. Yeah, it's
You're
it's a thing.
impoverishing entire fucking industries.
You're also doing other things, right? Right, like they give more than they take out of this motherfucker. They're more honest than the average American. They work
I
hard,
don't
steal
care.
less.
I don't care. I don't care about the crime.
Or, them saying they add to the community, I thought was
They don't. They don't add to the community in any way. They
I
make it
just
worse.
explained to you how they do.
No, they
fucking
literally
fight
impoverish the
nationally.
community. If American
also-
families can't feed themselves,
Wait, is the community the U.S. or not? Because you said American
No.
families.
no, it's not the U.S.
Well, who is American?
I mean,
The
like,
U.S.
America's an economic zone, bruh. It's not a nation, all right?
Okay, well, we'll call it American. Whatever you call whatever the fuck it is, they add to it and make it better. And I'll
No,
tell
they
you
don't.
how.
They do not.
Okay, I'll argue how. Financially, people will disagree.
No,
with
they
you.
don't.
There's a net benefit when they come here.
No, there's not.
financially, But that's not even the one that I'd like to concentrate on. The best reason that we need these motherfuckers here is to get rid of that us versus them mindset.
Okay, all right,
and
all right.
so
You
that-
need to stop.
listen,
You need to
John,
stop,
I'll wrap
bro.
it
Like,
up.
yo, you
I'll
need to
wrap
stop.
it up.
You need to
I'll
stop,
wrap
bro.
it
Like,
up.
real shit.
I'll
Stop.
wrap it up. Are you into that
Stop.
control shit? You're one of them guys that like to control other niggas, right?
Again, you
That's-
need
we
to
just
stop,
talking
dog.
here. I'll stop.
You need to stop with that bullshit. Like, again, I'm from PA, bro. There isn't that us versus them bullshit.
Stop because you're
that doesn't
talking over
exist.
me. I think I must stop because you're talking over me. You don't know what exists because you truncated the shit I was trying to say.
Have you ever been to Philly?
I don't think I've been to Philly.
All right, listen. So, like, there isn't that us versus them thing, right?
Nonsense.
Italians, blacks, fucking, like, literally Irish, like, fucking Germans. Right. They all live side by side. Like, fucking, we all work together, grind together, fucking, we form unions together, right? You know what I mean? Like, yo, listen, we strive together to eat, right? And we're proud when each other eats. It's not a thing here, okay? When you're bringing in cheap labor to break us, when we've already been broken for 30 years through deindustrialization, and fucking exporting of jobs,
right?
And you're impoverishing communities, and you're causing families and communities and social structures to be destroyed. When you're causing human beings to have more alcoholism and fucking heroin deaths. When you're causing more motherfuckers to hop on drugs because you're stressing them the fuck out. When you're causing Americans to go deeper into fucking debt. When you're raising the cost of housing and basic motherfucking utilities and all the things that Americans use every fucking day. Right. That's a net negative for the country. That's not an economic benefit. Just because you get more cheap shit.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's good.
Exist, and they don't.
All of those things exist.
Assuming those things exist. And no, I didn't agree with half of them, and probably most of them. It is not because the guy is an immigrant with an eye. You can get any competition, man. Anybody move into your neighborhood is competition because it's an immigrant competition. You're upset, motherfucker. If it's a black man, you gotta hear some nigga whine. You bring a black man in that'll do it for cheaper. Mexican, it's not the fact that they'll do it for cheaper, right?
What?
Your argument is that any cheap labor is a bad thing. It don't have to be an immigrant, right?
No. You understand that, like,
so
literally, like, fucking blacks and Puerto Ricans argue for more money than whites do.
They argue for more money. I don't know what that means.
Blacks and Puerto Ricans want more money than whites. We don't have this problem here.
What problem don't we have here without immigrants?
We don't have this problem of where they use black people to fuck us up. That's not a thing. I mean, they brought them Katrina people in, but the blacks ran them back out because, like, they didn't want them here.
Here in Chicago, all fucking immigrants are here everywhere. These motherfuckers is starting businesses. And you have Mexican crews Hispanic crews that'll come in and do it cheaper. It's a real thing already here in America.
Yeah. Again, they do it cheaper, and they put fucking American labor out of business.
But these are Americans. I'm not talking about fucking.
They're not Americans.
I'm talking about
Mexicans aren't Americans. Guatemalans aren't Americans.
Well, really, because I have friends whose moms and are Cuban and Mexican and all of that shit. All these motherfuckers are born here. They're all Mexican, and all these motherfuckers have different jobs. I got some working on my house right now. Know their brothers, and all of them are American Mexicans. How is that not a thing?
Yeah, again, because their parents were fucking illegals, and they lived 45 to a fucking house. And they live in a way that Americans are not capable of living in. Because if you're black or if you're white and you try to live this way, the cops will come and take your fucking kids.
I have no idea. You done jumped the shark on me now, man. I think you're just angry or something.
No, again, like, literally, they'll work for half the wages that the rest of us get. We have fought and died. Like, my family.
But it don't make them not American. You just said that not American, even if they were born here. I got lost right there.
Yeah. Their parents weren't fucking legal. They're anchor babies.
How could you possibly know that the people working on my crib, their parents are illegal?
Yeah, because I know a lot of motherfuckers in Chicago, and they'll tell you that, like, their parents are illegal.
Yes, but you would agree that most of them are here legally. Yeah.
Again, if you came here illegally and had a child, that child is not illegally an American.
Well, most of them come here the legal way, as you
No, they don't.
No, they don't. Okay. Do we agree that some do?
I mean, like, the Indians which, by the way, I want out too.
Hispanic Mexicans, I'm talking about.
No, the
You read that
Hispanics do
there are
not come here
Mexicans
legally unless you're talking about the Puerto Ricans.
No Mexicans here legally. Okay, that's it.
The Puerto Ricans are here legally, right? And I'm fine with them. They're great. I love them. They're fucking amazing.
No Mexicans are here legally, though. Are we gonna keep talking?
The Mexicans aren't here legally.
We don't have. We've lost. You know, it's so subjective now. We don't have a definition of what's legal or not anymore.
Yeah. How many illegal fucking Hispanics are in the country right now? Do you know?
Well, all according to you.
How many of them are there?
How many Hispanics are in the country? By your definition, they are.
How many are in the country right now? About 90 million. About 90 million Hispanics in the country, and of them, about 50 million are fucking illegal.
Wait. You just told me they all were.
Yeah, listen, again, as far as I'm concerned, if half the population of them are illegal, they're all illegal.
Okay.
If half the fucking like cats in your neighborhood have fucking rabies, they all have rabies and they should all be shot.
Oh my God. Okay, I hear you. That's just feelings and emotion. You left logic a long time ago.
That's logic. My family fought and died and formed fucking unions. They fucking were fucking caved in mines, right? Fighting for goddamn fucking rights to be able to have proper fucking wages. I'll be damned. I'll be damned if we fucking give that shit up just because we want more Funko Pops. The fuck out of here.
I wasn't suggesting you do that, and I get that you touched a nerve somewhere. I get it.
No. Again, my family died fighting for union rights. Fucking died.
Okay. I'm sure you're trying to tell me something with that. I know you mean something. You're not the only family that had it rough, though. You understand that, right?
No, I'm not saying had it rough. I'm saying we fought for something. Shed blood for something.
You're not the only family who fought and made unions or fought in the military.
I don't care. Listen, I'm not talking about the fucking military, buddy.
To make this nation a better place. Your family's not exclusive. Again, our people died. There's a reason we have Labor Day. I'm sure you're going to make a point at some point. Or maybe not.
I mean, like, yo, do you know why we have Labor Day? It's because motherfuckers died fighting for our rights to have more money, to have a better way of life, to not have to fucking stand here and live like goddamn fucking dirt floor goddamn third worlders. And we invite the fucking third world in to turn us into that shit.
Wait. You fought for the third world to be able to come here legally.
No. We fought to not be a third world country, to not have third world working conditions. And now we have to work again like this.
So it's only you and the unions. What about the people who fought for the freedoms of this country? Do they not count?
What freedoms?
Very good. They don't count.
What freedoms? Literally, the Statue of Liberty was given to us to fucking celebrate the end of the Civil War and the end of slavery.
Right. Well, I was just talking about the advancements of black people, for one. They used to be slaves, now they're not. Well, a lot of
that's what the Statue of Liberty is for. It's to celebrate the end of slavery.
Also, people did fight for slavery and freedom.
Again, right? You do understand that's what that statue represents, not immigration.
I'm not talking about the Statue of Liberty.
Nobody fought for immigration.
I am talking about slaves, and you're fucking moving around and dancing rather than fucking being genuine. People fought, white folk, black folk, to help fucking free slaves and give blacks equality and all of that shit.
How many of your people fought?
Do you acknowledge that before you move the goalposts again?
Yes, I acknowledge it. How many of your people fought and died to get better wages in fucking Chicago, in these fucking manufacturing hubs? How many of them?
In Chicago, once the black folk got here, there was a white flight. This would be late 60s, early 70s. So
it would be like 1940s.
No, oh my God. When I got here in the late 60s, that we had white neighbors on both sides of us. The milkman still came. Tell me more about my city.
Now again, 1940s. The Great Migration was 1890 to 1950.
Great to know. I was talking about Chicago. I'm glad that you read a history book, bro. I'm telling you, they left here in the late 60s, early 70s. I don't even know why you want to fucking argue that.
Oh, I know when the white people ran off.
So technically, the people who started all those businesses, which are almost all gone now, new businesses had to pop up. Those people who fought for those businesses, they're not even here. So those would not have been my people, technically. However, a lot of the business were replaced with businesses of different races and shit. That's how we survive and live now. It's part of life, not a big deal.
How many of your businesses, how many of your people fought for better working conditions?
Ever?
I mean,
Google
again, right? How many, like in all those fucking manufacturing plants all over Illinois and Michigan and Ohio, right? Like, do you know how many of y'all, right, died for the rights to have better conditions?
I do not know the number, but it won't stop you from asking me 5 more times.
Yeah, again, like, yo, this is the point, right? It's like literally, you fought for the rights to be able to be treated equally and to be treated well and fairly. And here we go, chasing the third world down the fucking toilet by bringing more immigrants to fuck over your own people.
People
and you're
are
celebrating
people.
it.
Those are my people, knucklehead.
They're not your people.
Brother the same way that you are. Those are my brothers. If they believe in good and shit like that, I want the best for them. If a fucking immigrant come here, I want to help him learn the language. The same way if I was in another country, I want a motherfucker to help me. I don't need that racist motherfucker talking about go back to your country shit on TikTok. I want a motherfucker who actually care about me, yeah? Who's gonna fucking help me, teach me the language, show me the ropes.
I don't want you to have to go to another country.
That's irrelevant. I need a nigga with
That's
a good
not
heart.
irrelevant.
A cat like you? Stop it.
I want you to do well. I want your kids to be fed. I want your grandkids to be
My
fed.
kids. But you don't like other people though. Fuck is that?
Again,
That's level.
I want my people to eat well.
You don't
I don't
know
give
who
a
your
fuck.
people
Listen,
are.
they need to go back to their country and fix it.
Them is your people.
Not my people.
They are. Some motherfuckers
Not
on
my
a piece
people,
of-
right?
an
Like,
imaginary
again,
line on a piece of earth, and you believe that shit. Everybody outside that line is the enemy. You believe
I'm not
that
saying
shit.
they're my enemy. I'm saying that, like, yo, we have exclusive rights to our economy.
They are not your brethren. You think
They're not. They're not.
Exactly. Sure they are.
They're not.
You think because somebody drew a piece of line on their fuckers different
No,
from you. It's
because
fucking weird.
nations and fucking peoples and communities and families have always existed.
Yeah, just like Democrat, Republican, black, white, and they always.
I don't give a
war-
fuck about
and They
Democrat,
always
Republican.
at war with motherfuckers of low IQ, easily swayed. Us versus them. That's the shit you selling.
Yeah, I'm
it's
not selling that.
nonsense.
I'm selling the fact that, like, literally, like, yo, we are getting worse and have been getting worse since the 1970s. We haven't had a raise since 1978 as Americans.
Blame it on the immigrants, right?
Yeah, again, like, literally, it fucking matches exactly. In order for us to continue to have cheap things and all the fucking beautiful, like, fucking conveniences that we have, we
Yeah.
have to continue to fucking have more people come
Exactly.
in to work for less money.
I hate immigrants because I got MTV. Fucking, you one of them niggas we was just talking about. I'm gonna show you something, man. Can you big screen me, TML? I'm gonna show you something, man. This is here. How you guys doing, man? How you doing? This is the ICE facility right here. All these people, these are not illegals. These motherfuckers ain't out here. These are people fighting for other motherfuckers. Look,
Yeah, they're college
and put
kids.
this,
I get it.
and then put college kids. And then put these big ass gates up. I got shot from a nigga on that roof. It's on my channel. This is where they bring them in and out at, right here. These people that they kidnap all the fucking time, right? And all of these people are out here over a fucking night, out here overnight to help other people because they believe that these people are human, our brothers, the same way you are to me, and I ain't never met you, bruh. It don't matter that you live on this side of a line or the other. I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna try to teach you something. By the way, these people are black, white, Hispanic. Look at what my man just drove up in. My man's brought a whole truck up here. Respect human rights. Look at this. You got food and water out here for the protesters. Due process. No more deportations. These are people out here helping other people who ain't themselves, man. Where's that imaginary line you're talking about? Niggas like me crossing it.
Are you going to go to Mexico?
If I could, I'd love to go to Mexico.
If you could, yo, I mean, like, yo, you can go walk into Mexico. You know what I mean? And see how they treat you, bro.
I tried to go, and I don't want to get into it because this is YouTube. Why I couldn't go last time I tried. And I tried to go to Europe, and I couldn't go to Europe. But
oh, so I mean, like, yo, the rest of the world enforces their shit, but not us.
If another nigga is evil, that's a bad argument, right?
I mean, I'm not saying they're evil, bro. I'm not saying they're evil. I'm saying that, like, yo, they take care of their people. Their own people feel the same way about us that, like, I'm saying I feel about them.
This is why you shouldn't truncate my fucking statements, because these conversations go a lot faster.
I'm not truncating it. Like, I'm not truncating shit, dog.
Yeah, I was trying to give an
the
analogy.
truncator.
Yes, if another person is evil and you throw that in as a metric, I'm trying to be good, and you tell me other people are evil, that is not an argument, so why I should do it. So if you telling me other countries also believe in us versus them, that is not an argument for a cat like me. The Democrats do this, Republicans do that, and then we sit up and argue.
I don't care about the Democrats and the Republicans, dog. Like, they're two sides of the same coin.
Agreed. You can see it in that black, white. You agree, right? There is no.
Yeah. No, I listen again. Like, yo, I got black kids. I got white kids. Okay.
Very good.
Like,
very good. Very good.
You know what I'm saying?
But
right. And wait. Hang on. Wait. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. So, like, I have. You know what I mean? Like, yo, I got sons, right, who are in the fucking workforce. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, like, literally, I want them to be able to earn. I want what's best for them. I want my black son to be able to stand here and earn a proper living and have a family. I don't want him to have to compete with the entire world's labor.
What if he's a racist and hate white people? Would you be happy as long as he made?
Did he disappear for y'all too, or just me?
He
yeah, it looked like he got zapped.
That happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Like his battery low or something?
I mean, we might just lost signal.
That's true, but presumably he's somewhere in the city, right?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't go nowhere.
Yeah. It's really
he might have had a phone call.
So we can't hear you, Joe Cool. If you could hear us, we are not able to hear you. So either you gotta go out and come back in, or his phone might have died. So maybe he's not hearing what I'm saying at all. But anyways, thank you so much for being here, Joe Cool. Blessings to you. Yeah, but this quote above, it says, in all the numerous assemblies of whatever character composed, passion never fails to wrest the scepter from reason. Okay. Had every Athenian citizen been a Socrates, every Athenian assembly would have been a mob. So he's saying that the people caused the style of government, basically. This is in Federalist 55. And then if you go to this whole idea, right, of social determinism in Hegel, right, this is what we're looking at here, right, as the opposite view of social determinism, right, where he says, governments have never learned anything from history or acted on principles deduced from it, right? So, yeah, it's interesting stuff, right? But, yeah, let's go to a song here, right? And, I'll drop the, I think we got the link in the chat, or is it? Yeah, I'll drop the link again. We'll see if Joe Cool comes back. We'll play a little song and I'll move back to the Hegel, Hegel and then Thomas Sowell on Marx. Right, and we'll look at some of that stuff, right? So yeah, we'll take a little music thing, and we'll be back in a little bit. Blessings to all the people. Yeah. We got some Nujabes best. Right. So yeah. Classic
Nice.
tunes. Yeah, by Nujabes best. All right, let me move to
That's some fountain visuals there.
some weird shit.
You don't think it's get popped for that?
Oh, really? What is it?
I mean, it's a
what is it?
movie.
Fountain, huh?
I think it's Hugh Jackman is the main character. I'd never watched it, but some of the the songs from the soundtrack are pretty fire.
Huh. Yeah, I never heard of it. Yeah. Yeah, I was like, this definitely can't be from a movie. Like, why the fuck would they put this in a movie? Yeah, it definitely should be a weird ass movie. It's a dude like making mushrooms in space. Like, what the fuck? Like, what could this be a movie about?
At least that stuff near the end looked like it. I don't know about the earlier stuff, but
Oh, okay, I see. Oh, you're talking about
definitely like that last 30 seconds or so.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the entire.
Oh no,
guy
not the
growing the
entire
mushroom.
thing. Yeah, just near the end there.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, it'd be weird if they put that in a movie. A guy like growing mushrooms and they show the process of him putting it in the trees and weird shit. That the visuals there for sure. But yeah. But yeah, let's check this out for a little bit.
Was launched in all its high-mindedness and prolixity. Hegel was enraptured. Here was a mind as encyclopedic and prosaic as his own. Hegel ploughed assiduously through Kant, complementing this with forays into ancient Greek culture, and in between times harvesting far and wide for the excerpt mill.
So there's kind of like a relationship between different thinkers, right? Obviously Rousseau, right? And you could say that basically just as Thomas Jefferson like slept with like the two treatises of government under his pillow, right? It's the same thing with Rousseau. With Robespierre, he kind of slept with a social contract under his pillow, right? So this whole idea of Rousseau, right? And obviously Rousseau influenced Kant and his moral system, right? And then you have Hegel, right, saying that Kant, he basically figured out the whole ideas about epistemology, right? So he attributes that to Kant, right? And obviously Kant also has this utopian ideal, right? Within his he kind of idealizes a system of world government. Right, so Hegel has this notion of progress. He's talking about the apotheosis of the state. So he's heavily influenced by, obviously Kant is influenced by Rousseau, right? Okay, Hegel is influenced by Kant, and then Marx is influenced by Hegel, right? So there's a sort of philosophical lineage there.
In these early years, he was known by his fellow students as the old man, apparently as much for his drab personality as his obsessive propensity for study. By the time Hegel came to leave the university in 1793, he had no intention of entering the church. What he really wanted was an academic post, teaching in a university, but surprisingly he managed to achieve only a mediocre degree. His final certificate from the university authorities perceptively noted that he was not much good at philosophy. In fact, Hegel's reading in philosophy and other subjects had been almost exclusively outside his course, the mark of many a brilliant mind and countless mediocrities. Hegel was intent on continuing with these whimsical studies, and in order to support himself he became a private tutor. This took him to Bern in Switzerland for 3 years. Here he read widely in the library and was quite lonely. He found solace by communing with nature. His response to the spectacular local alpine scenery provides a curious psychological picture. "I seek to be reconciled with myself and with other men in the arms of nature," he wrote. "For this reason I often fly to this true mother to isolate myself from other men in her company. She enables me to protect myself from them and prevent any covenant with them." Yet for him, the sublime alpine peaks were eternally dead, while he saw a waterfall as the very image of freedom and play, eternally moving forward. The psychologist Schafstein has suggested that the bleak mountain peaks evoked for Hegel the painful immobility of depression, and that the waterfall represented the pleasure of release from it. Whether or not this represents psychological insight or interpretive overkill, Hegel certainly suffered from severe bouts of depression during this period, an affliction that probably lasted throughout his life. Both his prose and his portraits would seem to confirm this. Under the influence of his hero Kant, Hegel now wrote a number of religious treatises critical of Christian authoritarianism, and a Life of Christ, which treated Jesus as an almost wholly secular figure. In this work, Jesus' explanations of Christian doctrine often bear an uncanny resemblance to the words of Hegel's hero, the Galilean's profound simplicities undergoing a painful transformation into the serpentine ponderousness of Prussian philosophizing. Kant had based his moral philosophy upon his so-called categorical imperative.
Okay, so there's a bunch of different concepts there, right? Because excuse me. Yeah, in terms of his secularizing of Jesus, right, and him putting it under the guise of the spirit of world history, right? This is obviously begun in Kant, right? Kant saying that morality is separate from, the empirical modes of speculation, right? Because it's more, in the a priori, right, category, right? It's a universal category, right? So he basically said, right, that morality is separate from, like science and reason and these types of things, right? Now, obviously, in terms of the young Hegelians, right, they had a sort of idea, right, about the apotheosis of the state, right, and how they idealized it, right, was a sort of coming of the kingdom of God on earth, right? So the whole principle of secularizing Jesus, right, really had to do with Kant's utopian philosophy, sort of Rousseau's moral theories and all this type of stuff, right? And this whole idea of the collective spirit within Rousseau, right? So it was really, a manifestation of all these different ideas, right? More a culmination of all these ideas, right? But the young Hegelians, a lot of the young Hegelians, right, they had drawn, right, and of course it's Hegel who begins this whole mode of inquiry, right, where he says there's these progressive modes developing from the Greek civilization, right, to the German civilization, right? As he says, the Orientals never understood the spirit of freedom, right? It was first idealized in the Greeks and then in the Germans.
He actually says the Achaemenid Persians were the first. He had very positive things to say about the Achaemenid Persians.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, his view is pretty much one of the the biggest underlying causes to the growth of technique, basically.
Oh yeah, because he idealized progress within the state, and as Ellul says, it's when the state, aligns with technique, it becomes like monstrous, right? And its designs, right, because it does those things that corporate or private techniques do, right? It can mass produce them, right, fund them and do them shittily, right? And this whole idea is that it idealizes efficiency above, right, the actual human drive, right? And that's kind of what Hegel's saying, right? He's saying that the state is driving the human, right? Ultimately that's what this notion of progress represents, right? So that's sort of why it's nefarious.
One should act only in accordance with such a maxim as one would simultaneously will should become a universal law. This plainly derives from Jesus' "do unto others as unto yourself." Hegel's game attempt to emulate Kant ended up with Christ saying, What you can will to be a universal law among men, and also hold as a law for yourself, according to that maxim you should act. Hegel's version of Jesus was down to earth in both style and content, a spiritless transmogrification which he came to regret. This book was never published in his lifetime, and in later years he attempted to destroy all copies of it. In 1796, his friend Hölderlin...
Yeah, and as I said, it's possible that the young Hegelians discovered this work, and then they tried to create their own, systems of Jesus. Now, obviously, there's a Trinitarian mode within the dialectic, within his dialectical system, right? I think it's like grammar, logic, and rhetoric or something like that. I think he also borrowed that from the Trivium, right? Well, I don't know what's going on with that. Yeah, Pinoid, it says device is not connected. Avian is just like, I don't know, it just like kicked him out for some reason. Weird.
Yeah, previously the browser went all haywire. Like I just saw a black shaking screen.
Yeah, that's what happens to me sometimes when I'm on StreamYard.
yeah.
Only when I'm on StreamYard. So I don't know what that is, right? But yeah. So and maybe that's somebody like hacking the StreamYard. We never know.
Sheesh.
What browser do you use? I'm just curious. What browser?
I just use Chrome. So I don't know. I'm pretty standard. I'm not like really that technical. I mean, that's partly why we're on StreamYard. I don't know how to use the OBS or anything like that, right? So it is what it is, right? But yeah, let's see a couple more minutes of this, and then we'll move to the So Well thing.
Secured him a tutoring job in Frankfurt, where the poet was living at the time. But when Hegel arrived, he found that Hölderlin was deliriously in love with a banker's wife, whom he believed to be the incarnation of ancient Greece, and once again Hegel found himself on his own.
So remember, he's great friends with Hölderlin and Schelling, right? And he's going with Schelling to plant a tree of liberty in, some place where they plant trees of liberty to celebrate the French Revolution in Germany, right? Because remember, they're Germans, right? So they're celebrating the advancement of the French Revolution, right? And of course, Hegel believes in a spirit of world history, right? So he believes these world events, right, sort of are about, how, the spirit of progress is going to, make itself known everywhere, right? Like universally, right?
In order to distract himself from his increasing melancholia, Hegel studied even harder. During the little free time he allowed himself, he began composing excruciatingly depressive poems in ill-constructed metre. A wise law forbade poorer spirits from making known what he in holy night has seen, heard, and felt, so that his higher self be not disturbed in contemplation by their noisy nonsense, so that their twaddle not provoke his anger towards holiness itself, so that the holy not be trodden so in dirt. Hegel's forte was ever the prosaic, despite his equivocal attitude toward noisy nonsense and twaddle. In the midst of these solitary years, Hegel experienced some sort of profound, mystic vision. This appears to have been in the form of an insight into the divine unity of the cosmos, where all finite division was seen as illusory. Everything was interdependent, and the ultimate reality was the whole. Hegel had been reading the 17th century Jewish pantheist Spinoza during this period, and Spinoza...
Yeah, of course, this was one of his great philosophical moves, right? He moved the idea of the universal within Kant to the idea of the absolute, right? And of course, this absolute was realizing itself throughout the spirit of world history, right? But anyways, let's move to Marx, right, who borrowed these ideas of progress, right? And of course, this is biographical information by Thomas Sowell. And of course, Marx was, as we discussed earlier, he was a young Hegelian, right?
There was a church wedding in 1843, but most of her family and all of his family stayed away. However, the bride's mother paid for the honeymoon and, in addition, turned over to the couple a small legacy which she had received. This legacy was held in the form of coins in a strongbox, which Marx and his bride then left open.
So part of the hypocrisy of Marx that a lot of people mention, right, is that he's a communist, right? He was born to a rich family, but he spent all his life borrowing money from people, right, for his communist project, right? So despite being well off, he squandered his means of income, right, and then wrote these revolutionary pamphlets, right? Yeah. So essentially, they talk about how he didn't have the sort of means to carry out the revolution that he dreamed of, right? And that it was funded by his rich friend Engels, right? But yeah.
Open in their hotel rooms, inviting any visitors to take whatever they might need. It was empty before they returned to her home, where they lived with her mother for several months. In October 1843, Marx and his wife, now pregnant, moved to Paris, where he was hired to contribute to a publishing venture, a bilingual journal for German and French readers. Only one issue ever appeared. Marx and the editor quarreled and broke up, leaving Marx without funds in a foreign land. A collection was hastily taken up by friends in Cologne, and the couple was rescued, as they would be again and again throughout their lives. Here in Paris, Marx began the studies that led him to communism. He also began to meet other radical figures of the time, including the radical poet Heinrich Heine, Russian anarchist Mikhail Bakunin, and the French radical writer Pierre-Joseph Proudhon. Heine, though at first a great friend of the Marxists, was eventually alienated.
I want to make a comment. About Hegel, well, the thing about Hegel, I'm not trying to defend him or anything, but Hegel has a lot of misinterpretations because of Fichte, the whole, synthesis and the synthesis and the, let me think again, it was like the synthesis and the, what was it again? I forgot, let me double check. Yeah, thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Hegel never argued that stuff. Yeah, that stuff came from Fichte. And Hegel, his views are very complex. I think Hegel doesn't believe in a linear progress. So, like, I don't know. He's like, the way.
It's a mix between linear and cyclical. He tried to combine the two notions into a system. So this is his attempt to combine those two systems that we talked about in the beginning of a being and becoming, right? But yet and still, the idea of linear progress can be seen in this sort of quasi-dispensationalism that he uses to describe the realization of freedom, right? First in the Greek and then in the German people, right? So there's this sort of idea of how freedom was sort of dispensed throughout the ages, right? In these two great ages, right? And he saw the Greek system and the Protestant Reformation as idealizing this movement, right? So
let me tell you this, though. I'm not trying to interrupt too much. My friend who is Slovenian, he's into Hegel a lot, and he actually got his degrees in philosophy. He's very intelligent.
Right.
I was debating him so much, he's very intelligent. And, he's a transhumanist. So I went and read Scribner and I read some other figures to try to debate him. Yeah, but his background in philosophy is stronger than mine. But maybe he can come on here, though. But his views,
that would be fun.
Yeah, his views though are really opposite of mine, though, basically.
Yeah, but that's interesting. But that kind of underscores what I'm saying, right? Because if he can use Hegel to defend, the notion of progress and transhumanism, right? Then it's sort of interesting how that can be done, right? And skillfully, once has. If someone has achieved the appropriate studies in philosophy, right, it can be quite convincing, as you said.
Yeah, that's right. The thing, though, about Hegel is when you really get deep into him, it is very esoteric. There's no doubt about that.
Because the Geist is like spirit and mind, right? So within the system of German idealism, these two concepts are inextricably linked, right? So that's what makes it mystical. And we talked about how Hegel is actually Hermeticism, right? It's actually more influenced by Hermeticism, right? than a lot of philosophical systems. Obviously, there's a work by Glenn McGee, right? Um, I forget the name of it right now, but we read significant portions of it earlier. Yeah. Oh yeah, Hegel and the Hermetic tradition. Right, I happen to have it right next to me. The introduction. I printed out the introduction one day. Yeah,
That's
Hegel and the Hermetic
interesting.
tradition.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think you would like to talk to my friend who's Slovenian. I've been online friend with him for like 10 years. You know,
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
a
he's Slovenian, huh? Like Scribina.
yeah, like
Interesting.
Skripal, and he is very intelligent, even though I don't agree with him much. You know what I mean? He what's weird about him is he's jumped from Vajrayana. He used to be Hegelian and transhumanist. He even got involved in the
He
cult. He's like a mix of Twilight, uh,
checked all the
Project
boxes, right?
Boyan, and
Yeah.
transhumanism. Like it's kind of weird when I think about it. Like I do see what
Sheesh.
you're doing, and so
Yeah,
like
Twilight is an interesting cat. I had another interesting conversation with Twilight, son of Lilith, quite recently. I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago. But yeah, I'll replay it on either tomorrow or on Sunday, depending on the time it takes to finish the show, right? Because we have discussions, and yeah, we just had a very excellent discussion with Pinoid and Joe Cool, right, about rights and responsibilities and individualism and
Duties.
all this. Yeah,
yeah,
duties.
um, I have a
Babette.
question for you. You said before you think Leibniz, his monadology makes more sense than Spinoza's underlying unity. I'm curious why you think that. Like, I don't know. Like, you see, my background in philosophy is better than the average person, but not as strong as yours or some other people. Like, I'm just curious why you think Leibniz is better than Spinoza. I'm just curious.
I think it's more concise, right? The whole idea of doing the philosophy and geometrical proof. So I think the method that Spinoza uses is very cumbersome, right? And also Descartes, right? I think it's better than Descartes and Spinoza. Obviously, Leibniz had the um ability to speak to Spinoza, so he talked to Spinoza, right? So I think Leibniz was able to consolidate some of Spinoza's views, right? This is personally what I believe, right? And also it seems apparent that yeah, so he was able to sort of synthesize them in a much more concise viewpoint in the monadology, right? And I have to go back and look at the specific, text, to actually, expand on what I mean by that, right? But yeah, let me see right here. A copy of it right here. Yeah, because
To read philosophy more deeply, go back to the modern thinkers and read them more deeply. I mainly learned from secondary sources or talking to online pen pals. So like I need to go and read more deeply, like
Yeah.
Spinoza and Leibniz, and all those people. I know Descartes is ridiculous though. I have read a bit of Descartes. And most people do not accept Descartes anymore. His mind's body dualism. That's kind of considered false now. His mind body dualism. Yeah. Well, I feel like Hegel is so hard and impenetrable. Like, have you actually read Hegel? Like, he's so hard to read. Like,
Yeah, we read him on the show. Yeah.
oh damn, dang, that's difficult. Yeah,
Yeah,
Hegel.
we read him on the show. Actually, we compared various texts on the show with Hegel, right? So yeah, we did a bit of that. Okay, here, 39 here. Monadology. Okay, let's go. Okay, so I'll tell you what I like. Right? Um Yeah, check this out. In 14, he says the passing state that involves and represents a multitude in the unity or in the simple substance is nothing but what is called perception. which is to be distinguished from apperception or consciousness. As will become clear later, the Cartesians have seriously erred in this, for they discount entirely perceptions for which we are not aware. This has led them to believe also that minds alone are monads, and that there are no souls of beasts or other entelechies. Thus, like common people, they have failed to distinguish a prolonged unconsciousness and actual death, which has made them fall back into the scholastic prejudice of entirely separate souls, and has even confirmed unbalanced minds in the opinion that souls are mortal. So yeah. So that's in 14 of Monadology, right? He disagrees with Descartes, right?
Yeah, that was a very good quote. Yeah, I can tell Leibniz is way better than Descartes.
Yeah. Check this out in 39.
Yeah.
I'm in Monadology. It says, now as this substance is a sufficient reason for all this diversity, which also is everywhere connected, there's only one God, and this God is sufficient. So this principle of sufficient reason, right? And you know, I pointed out that all of them are building off of Avicenna, the Persian philosopher, right? Because Leibniz, Descartes, and Spinoza all say that God's essence, God is the being whose essence involves his existence.
Yeah.
So they all find this definition for God, right, as a necessary being.
Yeah, necessary.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating conclusion, right? So
would
there's
you
not
say
much
that-
difference between them, right? Is this what
would
I'm
you say
trying to
that
say?
fulfills the Tawhid in traditional Islam or not? You would say it kind of deviates from that. The Tawhid.
I don't know. I think it's more like I mean I think Avicenna, right? There's problems with using Avicenna in traditional Islam, right? And I think Ghazali describes those problems quite accurately, right? But I think it was useful for Jewish and Christian philosophers, right, who banished Spinoza, right? Spinoza was exiled in Amsterdam because the Protestants and the Jews agreed that God is immaterial, right? So they believed it as sacrilege to declare that nature is God, right?
Would you say Ibn Sina was a crypto-Zoroastrian? Like, in the beginning.
Yeah, there's some proof of that. There's some proof of that. And the Metazolites, right? That the
Yeah.
Metazolites were crypto-Zoroastrians.
Also the Karmashians, about the Karmashians, or like they were Muslims, but they were actually crypto-Zoroastrians, and they went and sacked Mecca and they destroyed the Black Rock.
Yeah, I did hear about this. Yeah, I did hear about this. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe
Karmatians. Yeah, Karmatians. Yeah.
Yeah, Karmatians. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun story, honestly.
Car Smashians.
Yeah. So yeah, that's interesting type of stuff. And throughout history, the different sects of Islam, right? And as I said, if you look at the history of Islamic theology, right, you have the Mutazilites, then you have the Golden Age, right? I'm after Ibn Hanbal, right, and you have the development of all these guys, right? Then you have these guys like Avicenna, right, popping up, right? And then you have guys like Ghazali that are arguing against these guys, right? Then you have Taymiyyah that is kind of synthesizing all these ideas, right? And you have the Sufis, right, in the 15th century, right, and 16th century, right? Just as you have all these religious reforms, right, within Judaism and Christianity, right? You have the Sufis, right, popping up in Turkey and Persia and stuff, right? And yeah. So yeah, it's fascinating stuff. And if you read the discourses of Rumi, right, he's basically having debates about philosophy, right? Obviously he was right living in the 1500s, right, in Persia, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it was
by
it was
Carl.
called Iran since the assassinated empire. You know, what I mean, like the the Americans, they try to say Persia whenever they say anything positive about Iran, but then
Yeah.
they say Iran if they say anything negative. I mean, so I just say Iran because it's been called that. Well, they're interchangeable, but I just wanted to make that clear for people who don't know. So yeah, sorry about that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So you agree with Al-Ghazali's occasionalism that there are no necessary causal powers in created things, like cause and effect is just like God's customary conjunction. Like fire doesn't intrinsically burn cotton. Like I think that's
Yeah, yeah, I basically believe in like compatibilism, right? So people argue if compatibilism is free will. I think it's not free will, right? So, you know, so yeah.
interesting stuff. There's like philosophy when you get deep into it. It
Yeah.
always like goes into all this history and lots of stuff. A lot of people don't go that deep. Like they don't go that deep. Yeah.
Yeah, but I believe in some form of hyperdeterminism. Occasionalism. Then mixed with compatibilism. So this is all the, so you influence everything. Everything influences you, right? Obviously, right? And then also, compatibilism because you act and then God acts right at the same time, right? Occasionalism because God moves through everything, right? So, yeah, so this is a part of my ideas, right? But yeah, the show is not really that much about my ideas, except for in the beginning of the show. I guess I do offer considerable amount of opinions, even though I'd like not to.
Yeah, I know. I know. I'm not. I don't think you're an ideologue. I do not think you are an ideologue. I just wanted
Yeah,
to.
not really. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that. So I'm sorry if I. Yeah, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I was just trying
No, it's
to.
no worries. I know it's no worries. Many people have asked such questions on the show, so and you're already a good friend, so it's no worries.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, Marx is kind of his influence has been very negative on the world. There's no doubt about that. Do you think Bjorknes is right that Marx was like, I don't know, part of some kind of messianic plan where like I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, I mean, he was funded by the Rothschilds when he wrote Das Kapital, right? His cousin, right, Lionel de Rothschild, right? So, Bakunin pointed this out, right? He said, what could there be, in common between, Marxists and a central bank? And he said, yeah. Yeah, so I read that quote earlier, right? But yeah, Bakunin on Marx, right? It's fascinating stuff, right?
Yeah, well, that means that Marx was kind of like, I don't know if I'm using the word correctly, a Trojan horse on the wall or something like that.
That's what he said. He said, he said that Marx is funded by Rothschilds, right? So he said that the central banks are speculating on the labor of the people, right? So yeah, fascinating stuff.
Well, that makes sense why 90% of the people backing Mao were of J descent, and they were connected to Goldman Sachs, or I think so. A lot of them were connected to Goldman Sachs. And
Yeah,
I think
this might be a good way to put this. Here, let me show you this quote because this is a spicy quote. You guys will like this one. Yeah, I don't know if you guys remember this from earlier, but yeah, this one's a banger. This is Bakunin on Marx. I'm sorry, Avian. Please finish your statement. Whatever you're saying.
I was just saying that. Wait, what was I saying? I forgot. Like, yeah, I forgot what I was saying.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it happens. Like, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, the 90% of people back in China were of J descent, and a lot of them were Goldman Sachs. And
Right, yeah.
they spread Marxism and communism because they wanted to manipulate China into opening their markets. I think.
Right. Yeah. See, it's funded, and then Unseen gives a lot of information about the Bolshevik Revolution, right? How that was funded by external elements, right? It wasn't like, Russians who started the Bolshevik Revolution. Interesting history behind that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I agree with that stuff. Yeah, that
Yeah.
stuff is definitely true. Unseen is right about that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating history, and of course it matters because they hijacked the church there, right? It used to be a organization that was one in one with the state, right? So anyways, here's Bakunin on Marx and Rothschild. He says himself a Jew, Marx says around him in London and France, but especially in Germany, a multitude or more or less clever, intriguing, mobile, speculating Jews, such as Jews as everywhere, commercial or banking agents, writers, politicians, correspondents for newspapers of all shades, with one foot in the bank and the other in the socialist movement, and with their behind sitting on the German daily press, they have taken possession of all the newspapers. And you can imagine what kind of sickening literature they produce. Now, this entire Jewish world, which forms a single profiteering sect, people of bloodsuckers, a single gluttonous parasite, closely and intimately united, and only across national borders, but across all differences of political opinion. This Jewish world today stands for the most part of the disposal of Marx, at the same time at the disposal of Rothschild. I'm certain that Rothschild, for his part, greatly values the merits of Marx, and that Marx, for his part, feels instinctive attraction and a great respect for Rothschild. This may seem strange. What can there be in common between communism and the large banks? Oh, the communism of Marx seeks enormous centralization in the state, and where such exists, there must inevitably be a state bank. And where such bank exists, the parasitic Jewish nation, which speculates on the work of the people, will always find a way to prevail.
Well, that's a spicy one.
Yeah, of course, this is the opinions of Mikhail Bakunin, right? And this is a historical reference, right?
I think I think Bjorknes quoted that in his book "Beware the World to Come" because I read some of that.
Yeah.
I think
he must
He
have.
was pretty accurate, though.
Yeah, he must have quoted something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget where I saw that. I think I saw that in on Marxist.org. There was like a bunch of biographical information on Marx in this one document that somebody compiled, and there was that quote there, and I was like, "Whoa, that's a very interesting quote." And I looked it up, and of course, there's a reference to the work that's in question there, 1920. Yeah, what does it say right there? 1871, right? But it's published in 1924 there. And a work in Berlin. But yeah, source Mikhail Bakunin, 1871, and I can't read that, whatever that's called. But yeah, interesting because, as I said, Lionel de Rothschild is his cousin, right? Who's MP of Great Britain, right? So it's fascinating stuff, right? We got Lotus Channel, right? He's released some very fascinating videos, right, on biosemiotics and a bunch of other issues that I'm looking into. Fascinating conclusions there. Charlie Kirk, USA first, or Net and Yahoo first? Neurojack. Yeah, I'll drop the link. We're kind of wrapping up here. If anybody has any questions of anything we discussed here, okay, it's imperative that you hop up on the panel at this point, right? So we could discuss this because it's 3 hours in and I'm fixing to shut down here.
How much do you think? How much do you think the history we're told is true? Like sometimes I wonder some things.
Like probably a little less than 10%.
Hmm.
Yeah,
You know,
sometimes
like
I think the stuff of it's got power because of the Venetian nobility. You know, there's some conspiracies about that. I'm not sure.
yeah, we might know like 9% of what happened. You know,
I was gonna say 20%, but you got me beat.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's definitely low. I don't think that we can go back before like 2000 BC, really, right? You know, even with modern equipment, right? There's hurdles, right? Especially those giant ass buildings. Those are the first hurdles, right? And then there's other stuff.
You really think those like NASA videos are fake and like all this, you know?
There's a possibility, yeah.
Yeah,
There's a huge
I was
possibility.
looking to do. Yeah, it is kind of weird. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a huge possibility it's fake. I go with most likely that it's a hollow Earth. The reason I go with that one is because I say we got to figure out what's inside the Earth first, right? So forget about space, right? Figure out what's inside the Earth, and space might
Oh,
be,
that's a big rabbit hole.
yeah, literally.
Well, the fact that they don't let you go to Antarctica, and you know Antarctica has a lot of hidden stuff. It's possible. You know, like we don't know what they're hiding in Antarctica. It could be anything. It could be a hole to the inner Earth. It could be alien crafts. I don't know. It could be a lot of things. It could be Tartaria. I don't know what they're hiding in Antarctica, but I do think they are hiding something. I see.
Uh-oh. Maybe technical difficulties. I don't know about Antarctica. Like, especially some person was trying to pawn off these art photographs or something as real when it was just AI shit. So it's like, I don't know what to believe with that.
Yeah, but the thing is that one guy who went to
Like
Antarctica.
pyramids and shit.
You know about that Korean guy who landed accidentally on Antarctica? You know about that Korean guy or no?
No.
There was a Korean guy who was flying around the world because he was trying to get money for like cancer patients. And then he landed in Antarctica. It was by accident. And he apologized to like the security personnel there, but then they put him in jail. You know what I mean? He's still in jail, I think, just because he accidentally landed in Antarctica or something. So yeah, that poor Korean guy is in jail, even though he was just flying all around the world, you know, landing in pretty much every country, you know. But once he lands accidentally on Antarctica, he's in jail. So they are hiding something in Antarctica, maybe like I don't know, big weapons or something. I don't know. It could be anything.
I heard, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard that the Earth was flipped and we're actually upside down right now. So I guess from like a pole shift or something, but how could I even begin to confirm that? It's just hearsay at this point.
Yeah, the point is that whoever is in power and all these elites, they don't want to be transparent. You know what I mean? They just keep.
Of course.
Yeah, that's the thing. Lack of transparency. You know, that's the biggest problem. I feel like probably on the top 3 biggest problems. Lack of transparency.
Yeah, that's definitely in the top 3.
Yeah, and that's of course the main feature of this whole concept that we're laying down of complexity of means, complexification of means, and yeah. So yeah, I'm curious whether anybody would like to come up on the panel. I mean, because as I stated, we are shutting down soon, right? So if anybody has any thoughts here, please feel free. And as I said, we're moving on with greater exploration of ideas in the economic and philosophical manuscripts of Karl Marx in 1888. Right. And we're relating it to different texts. This whole concept of alienation that he drives and expands on. Right.
Marx's arrogance and dogmatism. In later years, Heine described the Paris radicals, including Marx, as a crowd of godless, self-appointed gods. Among these radicals was a young German whom Marx had met briefly before, Friedrich Engels. Collaboration with Engels. Engels, 2 years younger than Marx, came from an even wealthier family, which owned half interest in a factory in Germany and half interest in another factory in England. His father had never been as indulgent as Marx's father, and Engels never attended a university, but he was well read, and by middle age could read and write nearly 24 languages. Engels was sent away at 17 to get on-the-job training in the family business in Bremen. Here, he was not overworked. He was, after all, an owner's son, and was known to have beer, cigars, poems, and correspondence with him, and to take a leisurely lunch and a nap afterwards in a hammock. He also found time to study Hegel. Engels eventually became a member of the Young Hegelians, and in 1842 had his first brief meeting with the editor of the Rheinische Zeitung, Karl Marx. Their first meeting was cool, for Marx viewed Engels at that point as just another member of the radical group whose literary contributions to the paper were causing him trouble with the censors. From 1842 to 1844, Engels lived in Manchester, England, working in the family business there and observing the conditions of the working people in this industrial town, observations which led to his first book, The Conditions of the Working Class in England, in 1844. When he passed through Paris on his way back to the Rhineland in 1844, he again met Marx, and this time many days of discussion found them in complete agreement on questions of theory, as they continued to be for the remaining decades of their lives. At this juncture, Engels was not only further advanced than Marx on the road to communism, but was also much better versed in economics. Although their first joint publication, The Holy Family, appeared a year later, there was at that point no suggestion of a continuing collaboration between them. The foreword to The Holy Family promised future writings from the pair, each for himself, of course. But in reality, later events brought them together again in England, in a permanent alliance in which their ideas and words were so intermingled that it would be rash to say conclusively, 100 years later, what was Marx's and what was Engels'. Even Marx's daughter, after his death, mistakenly published a collection of her father's newspaper articles that later turned out all to have been written by Engels. The most famous of their explicitly collaborative writings was, of course, the Communist Manifesto. Its genesis.
So this is interesting, right? To figure out what kind of stylistic additions, right, Engels made. Obviously, Engels was Marx's publisher, right? So it's kind of like a Plato and Socrates type of situation, with Engels being the Plato, right? Of the entire situation, right? So he's significantly editing the words of his teacher, the guy who's the main intellectual force behind the arguments, right? So there's some of that going on, right?
Typified the pattern of Marxian political intrigue. A radical organization in London called the League of the Just was in process of reorganization to become the Communist League, and it involved several people.
Okay, so here's the League of the Just, a Masonic organization, right? So, drawing from the ideas of Emanuel Swedenborg, right?
And the drawing up of its credo. One of these submitted his draft to Engels, who confessed to Marx that, just between ourselves, I played a hellish trick on Mosi, substituting the Marxian program for the draft entrusted to him. Engels realized the enormity of his betrayal, for he cautioned Marx to utter secrecy. Otherwise, we shall be deposed, and there will be a murderous scandal. Thus, Marx and Engels made themselves the voices of communism. Engels wrote up a document in question and answer format, but then decided that he did not like it. He turned his work over to Marx to redo in some other format and suggested the title, The Communist Manifesto. Slowly, the document evolved, written mostly in the style of Marx, though reproducing some ideas from Engels' earlier draft. It was published in February 1848 as The Manifesto of the Communist Party, with no authors listed, as though it were the work of some major organization rather than of a relative handful of radical refugees.
Okay. So it's been like 5 minutes there, right? And I sped it up a little bit, right? But yeah, anyways, I gave people a chance to hop up on the panel, and obviously nobody wants to have a conversation. So yeah, please be blessed for the 18 people that are watching this. I greatly appreciate your time. Right. Do you guys have any things to say to the people? We will be back tomorrow. We will continue these presentations. Obviously, we have some other texts that we're looking at. Obviously Marcuse, Scribner, right? David Livingstone, right? His article on the net and the Unabomber and LSD or whatever, right? So yeah. So yeah, you guys got any closing words for these people?
Do not seek the treasure.
Yeah, we got the alternative channel. And yeah, as I said, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be continuing a bunch of stuff. Pannenberg. Or actually Pannenberg's on Saturday. Skolomowski tomorrow, right? So yeah, we're looking at Skolomowski, right? Okay, there's different thinkers we're looking at, right? So yeah, we'll see what happens. Obviously Mumford, right? Ellul. Right, focusing on a lot of different guys, right? We looked at Russell, right? We're going to continue on reading some works. We may expand on that concept by Mumford of the mega machine, right? Anyways. Yeah, so Avian, are you there?
Oh yeah, I'm here. I don't think I really have closing remarks. Yeah, not really. Yeah, but I did enjoy listening and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
thank you. Yeah, thank you for being here. Yeah, I greatly appreciate your time. And of course Avian is going live on is it Saturday at 1 p.m.?
Yeah, it's Saturday 1 p.m. I actually had a question to ask about that. When you play music, are you allowed to, can you avoid being banned if you do that? Like, how can I avoid that?
Yeah. Yeah, you got to search around and see what because obviously you're not monetized. So all it really affects is your monetization of the video itself, right? So per video, right, it'll affect monetization. If you play independent artists, right, they're not going to take it down, right? But if it belongs to one of those major record labels, and you could usually search it on YouTube, and it'll tell you if it's on one of those major labels. And but yeah, let me show you guys Lotus Evolution, right? The stream that's coming up, right? So you guys might be able to tell yourself that is coming up. Obviously, we have our stream on Saturday as well, right? Obviously, we have one tomorrow, right? So tomorrow and Saturday, and now they're starting at 7:30 p.m. Right? So yeah. So give me a second, guys. Yeah, so this is a stream right here. So yeah, very interesting topic. I'm very interested in the topic, and he submitted an audiobook with the other presentation, right? Because he's given another video on biosemiotics. So if you look up, if you need an introduction to the topic, there's one right here, Jesper Hoffmeyer, biosemiotics. So I'm looking at this video and
I'm gonna upload Jacques Ellul before Saturday, a video on technique and Jacques Ellul before Saturday.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, excited to see that one too. So video coming up on Jacques Ellul. Yeah, and of course, I can't wait to get to that part, human techniques, on the show, because that is such a excellent summation of the ideas and how he says that, technique has conquered liberalism and humanism and all these ideas, right? It is a fascinating critique, and it drives at a lot of stuff. He talks about how technique alters our perception of space, how it alters our perception of time. So he actually divides things in those categories that I've been dividing things in. So yeah, it's a fascinating culmination of ideas.
Yeah, that's the part I'm on right now, and yeah, it is fascinating. Yeah, that part is pretty cool. Yeah, I also like how he criticizes schooling, and he basically calls it indoctrination. For the state. And the technique. Basically all that. But yeah, I'll try to cover like most of that in my PowerPoint presentation, like the main stuff. There's a lot. You could like spend a lot of time just analyzing everything Ellul touches on, because Ellul is very detail oriented.
Yeah, they've translated more of his works at this point. So I mean, he's left behind a treasure trove of items. Yeah. So obviously we looked at 2 hours, right, of video, presentations and interviews, of Ellul as well, right? And it's fascinating to watch the man speak as well, right? Yeah. So Jacques Ellul, the author of Technological Society, right? And of course, we're making our way through the work, and Buddha says he'll be posting a video before Saturday, hopefully. So so look out on his channel. And so we'll be back tomorrow, and blessings to all the people that are here. And thank you for being here with us here on The Machine Lies, where we talk about the lies of the machine on the machine that lies. And I hope you guys have clarity to see through the lies, my friends. You can't kill what you can't see. And the first step to blinding somebody is getting them to open their eyes. The first step to seeing beyond the programming is to realize how you've been programmed. And what most people think is real is not even real, right? It's just flickering shadows on a screen, images of things that aren't even real, right? We'll get more into the progression of ideas throughout history, right? As I stated earlier in the show. And blessings to all the people.
Blessings. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you, friend. Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. And here is a song by Pinoid called Fuck Normal People. That's what he called the song. But yeah.
How nice.
Yeah, blessings. So we'll hear a song by Pinoid. We'll hear some Nujabes. Right. And that'll be it for us, folks. I hope you guys appreciate the music. And it's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Thank you for being here with me.
Fuck normal people. Off about my head, man. Pray to God. I'll talk to him. That's what I asked for. Let me die on my feet, keep the demons from my sleep, keep my belly full of meat, let me set fire to this beat, see the snakes from the creek, make my hustle move my feet, have my muscle put to the street, pussy be wet, let it leak. Fuck normal people. May my seeds be happy and eat, punish those who cheat, please forgive my sins. I ain't always been out to win, but fuck normal people. If I murdered the track, I can't take it back, pump your stats to the max, even take it to the mat, still put you on a hat, put a hat on you, stuff you like cordon bleu, heard you told on who, in the wake of your truth. Desolation of fear, can't stand to be near. Inferiority breeds jealousy of men you weren't born to be. Fuck normal people, better than you in their creation. No matter how high your station, still get outfucked and outdone. Your female rolling around in the sun, bitch lies of you raising the son of a man you seen as inferior. You think they were more than your exterior. Disney got the word snow, follow your heart, bro. Come on, dog, fantasies of enlightenment. No one created equal, ain't no fighting it. You ain't equal to who you was, can't equal that round here, buzz. Respect truth, don't come round here, cuz I'm the one, I am him, your God. He loves me for my sins, he places ribbons on my neck for my wins. Never make a deal with those gins, there's no catch-22. So don't go one-on-one with this dude.
The only reason that they all get to continue living like kings is because we got our fingers on the scales in their favor. I take my hand off, when then the whole world gets really fucking fair, really fucking quickly, and nobody actually wants that. They say they do, but they don't. They want what we have to give them, but they also want to, play innocent and pretend they have no idea where it came from. Well, that's more hypocrisy than I'm willing to swallow, so fuck. Fuck normal people. Fuck normal people. Fuck normal people.
Hypocritical hippocampus lies placed into the status. The ego protects the mind. The heart holds a line. Your hands building God. You like spent in the grind, yearning for numerical growth.
Fuck normal people.
Left in the austerical choke, borrowing from future hustles, levering your current muscle. We all want to live as kings. No one wants to wait on these things. Enjoy this moment, pay later. Climbing cables in the elevator. The penthouse awaits. Staying out too late. Weed, coke, and whores is your fate. You eat what you put in the cake. Give it time to bake. We fat, lazy, and impatient. Take time for creation.
Fuck normal people.
Time for maturation and growth and generation sacrificed. Time, sweat, and blood invested. Civilizational capital is rested in the sacrifice of many for the betterment of all. The death of the friendly for the harvest in the fall. Wisdom you are blessed with is the dreams you will rest with. Your mind will protect you from the processes that will wreck you.
Fuck normal people.
Learn your life has consequences. Your mind will build rose lenses. Keep the truth in your vision. Hurts to see these kids slave living, but that the iPhone is blizzing. You can't understand the basics, so how you gonna be able to take this?
Fuck normal people.
The wages of your life is death. With this on your mind and stress, just close your eyes. Good night and God bless.
Fuck normal people. I take my hand off, and then the whole world gets really fucking fair, really fucking quickly, and nobody actually wants that. They say they do, but they don't. Fuck normal people. Fuck normal people.
Off about my head, man.
Yeah, blessings to all the people that are here. And yeah, here's some Nujabes, right? I think there's like an idea song in there too. But yeah, blessings to all the people. Thanks for being here. That is all we have for today, and of course, we're gonna have a show tomorrow, and it's gonna begin at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, right? So make sure you guys keep an eye on, the start time there. But yeah, bless.
Individual stars float in the ocean of God, rocking the beaker in the Saturn while I'm visiting Mars. Egos bigger than Jupiter, I'm breaking the bars, holding me back down to earth through physical laws, touching the moon. Grace has already resumed. Comments flying through space, bringing possible doom, blocking the sun, bring a holocaust on the world. I'm talking back to Father Time, Mother Earth is my girl. I got the wings of angels walking down the valley of death, watching my step, cause the devils never want to respect. Come correct on the studio track, taking it back to the pen and pad. I blast the original rap. Brother on the b-boy tip with Krylon spit. I tag the charts with the graphical hits. So who you fucking with? Arm, leg, leg to arm, hand. Snapping your neck back while you spit out a pen. I be the original son of a bitch, hurting your wrist. Cause you spinning my shit so much the needle skip. Flip to the rhythm and reminisce. Remember the days in 9-4, hip-hop was a gift. Okay. Words out of her lips came straight from the heart. Never pre-package a bought, won't negative thought. Pedal to consumers, magazines and rumors. Commercial spots turn real artists to clueless. Precise rap, rock and roll, nigga, let's do this. I float through notes, break beats while my maneuvers. Yo, regardless, while I be moving swiftly through darkness, plotting chart on my path, I'm running, cutting my losses, stumbling over unknown bumps and complications and tribulations on my life for revelation. Yo, regardless, while I be moving swiftly through darkness, plotting chart on my path, I'm running, cutting my losses, stumbling over unknown bumps and complications and tribulations on my life for revelation. Speaking to scorpions, making my heart turn to porcelain. It used to have a steady beat, now it's easily broken. Mind coasting, train of thought, stopped emotions. Welling at the core, my being causing commotion, need to release. Could the stress it tear me to pieces? My love ceases and my thoughts breaking the leases. I had on my life, but the strife making me leave this. I can't beat this, going to God to defeat this. Will he help or do I have to do this myself? Alone and confused, the blues burning my health. My eyes remain closed cause my highs are lows. I'm feeling the blows of rain cause my pain is cold. Now who am I? A man or a pawn in life? Living day to day, I pray, am I wrong or right? Losing my mind, so maybe you can help me find the way to go, so I can be leaving this pain behind, trying to sleep. Sleep is the cousin of death, said a wise man from Queensbridge on BT Blessed. Trying to rest instead, I rest my head on a pillow of hardships. Misery is the bed. On my back, I lie, I can see the skies through a glass ceiling. The reason tears drowning my eyes and I can't move. Grief won't let me think, my soul is dry. I called just to take a drink, I made you blink. Think like a visible man with mechanical hands, trying to reach out to my fan. Yo, regardless, while I be moving swiftly through darkness, plotting chart on my path, I'm running, cutting my losses, stumbling over unknown bumps and complications and tribulations on my life for revelation. Yo, regardless, while I be moving swiftly through darkness, plotting chart on my path, I'm running, cutting my losses, stumbling over unknown bumps and complications and tribulations on my life for revelation. Viscosity of the hidden meaning between my words, picking the plot. I caught hidden rhythms of verse. I'm loading the hearse, you biting like a Dracula curse. I'm bringing the roast to hurt like a sermon in church pertaining to you. Hurts just to listen to truth, so you rather listen to lies, so you live in the blues. I'm beginning to win. Young man, mastering sin, battle within. Looking at the devil and grin. I'm flipping the script, walking on a journey and trip on a gurney and miss. At the fact that life is a bitch and I'm hating this shit. Losing blood making me crit. Stakes inside, bet and I lost the grip. Searching for bliss with the razor over my wrist. Needing a job with the drug test, checking my piss. Looking through a window and seeing immaculate conception reborn. Piercing my core with 7 swords, igniting the war. Looking to the eyes of the Lord, calculating what more. Seeing the signs of heaven evermore. The last matador, riding a pale horse. Losing my horse, breaking the hands, causing divorce. Marriage a born, a havoc and song. I stumble upon lost jewels of thought to be gone, lost forever. I sever motherfuckers with letters written in script. Foreign to the rap that I rip from the top of the lip. Make a drink, taking a sip, then I'm going the shit, falling deeper in the abyss.
It's the medicine, the medicine, the medicine, the medicine. Go.
Dobro. Rolling in my resonator guitar. Hey, what's going on, fine, young, beautiful people of the universe? This is an idea.
2 steps ahead of myself, following you blindly. Set my faith on fire, but the real arson was bad timing. Walking through walls never seemed so uninteresting. You make magic mundane when you put the suicide in sexy. IV upon request, I'm finally walking on my own. Mama was a coma, Papa was a rolling kidney stone. Send me home with enough thread to keep my wounds closed. Here lies the truth, was tattooed on the tombstone. The wounds torn, leaking worms out of its newborn scorn. Your perfume performs plastic poetry on my human form. Warm bacteria glowing in the dark. Flash cooks the psyche. All Mikey ever wanted was Oliver Hart. I'll go for a short walk in the long run. When the spores spread to the lungs, it's all nails through the tongue. Fail to accept it all comes to pass. Fight me slow, fuck me fast. You're still my friend, take off the mask. When I heard I've got this perfect little medicine, bright enough to blind the sun, it makes my itches interesting. I'm a slave, you're a story, but your bravery is boring. Lick your lips, point them at my heart and cut it open for me. If this was heaven, it would have a better backstage. The director keeps pressuring me to act my age. Maybe she's right. If I could squeeze a bit of life out of this empty page in the book of love, maybe I'll push and shove my way through this rainy day. Changes in the brain made the chains decay. My prescription angel, come and take my pain away. Play your guitar, try to sing out my cough. Found a treasure chest of pleasure. Excess marks the spot. Screw in the screws tighter. Clip the loose wires. I was truly inspired till my muse told me she's too tired. I had it coming, pulled the label, didn't read the warning. Running can be habit forming. When I heard I've got this perfect little medicine, bright enough to blind the sun and makes my itches interesting. I'm a slave, you're a story, but your bravery is boring. Lick your lips, point them at my heart and cut it open for me. When I heard I got this perfect little medicine, bright enough to blind the sun and makes my itches interesting. I'm a slave, you're a story, but your bravery is boring. Lick your lips.
And one more.
When I heard I got this perfect little medicine, bright enough to blind the sun and makes my itches interesting. I'm a slave, you're a story, but your bravery is boring. Lick your lips, point them at my heart and cut it open for me. When I heard I've got this perfect little medicine, bright enough to blind the sun and makes my itches interesting. I'm a slave, you're a story, but your bravery is boring. Lick your lips, point them at my heart and rip it open for me.
I'm really bad at that kind of stuff. Should I do a couple more or something? Totally do. Totally get wicked on this rap.
Hey, what's going on? This is Idea.
MCs don't wanna step to me in battle. I'm keeping the peace in order while I'm hitting the gavel. You talking that bullshit, you gonna hit the gravel. Cause I'ma do what I can and do what I must. The silly motherfuckers can rock the mic, they need a hush. I'll be your favorite fanatical lyrical bust, feeding your ears with grade A lyrical foodstuffs, making you blush when you hear it, making your spirit overjoyed when this lyrics start to you and us spinning. Honey, we vivid on candy camera and I was scaring you like Godzilla fighting Gamera, spreading malaria in your area. Pandemonium disavow, been the sign and hit your town with that musical sound now, and move the crowd with the graphic displays of physical ways that make you wanna lose it for days. Nigga, we made lyrical art and serenade, impress the mind like miracles in biblical days. See me marble, I say I'm hard on black Michelin. Wrapped around the 20 years, bust shine ridiculous. Freak nasty, whole squat down and in particulars. You hearing this? Keeping these chicken heads delirious. With the vocab and the next sparkling serious. Come on, shorty, don't look shy, no need fearing this. With your cute eyes, fat thighs, and hair marvelous. Your skin tone melodic, your voice sound exotic. It's so fine, potpourri sent from when you fought it. Let's get it started back at my place, getting retarded. And don't be acting brand new, fool, we get on it. What you talk about? Here on my dinner, so hit the walkabout so we can set it up in the truck. You know we bout to fuck, so light it up and place in your mind. We passing the time for doing lines, we sipping on expensive wines. Damn, you fine, pretty brown thighs, I'm gonna climb. Body sublime, sipping Corona, licking the lime. Line for line, it be decisive, ripping your mind. So give me some time so we can unwind. Taking your city, town, area, province, and section.
Curious George walks, thou did not erect. Curious George flies a kite. Curious George learns his multiplication tables. Curious George takes a job. Curious George buys a ball barrel. Curious George goes to the hospital and walks, albeit not erect, toward the light. Cut myself empty, space. Tramps, cut myself empty, space.
Peel off the colors, transform into everywhere sandstorm. Tramps, cut myself empty, space. Gone in here, chaos and order are yet to be discovered.
Tramps, cut myself empty, space. Awakened from a slight repose. Tramps, cut myself empty, space.
As of now, walls of flame disdain, distorting, lining in order, pointing to a reference, pointing, this is a painting, remembering an end and then it's all over the face again, loving every novel treetop, foundations to build more and more.
Hovering colors hide under the slight mutter of another rumbling thundercloud. Wonder how I found this sound, this eternity, rumbling externally, cluttering, burning heat, bubbling, permanently pulling the puppet strings, time, chuckling at a mind's climb. What a
thing indeed. I mean the primordial mud runs by the thicker rhyme. This plot doesn't it? Hark alongside of a thorn name presenting yes, but whom so long as I'm about to shine, feel allowed to fall apart in front of a promenade Promethean like
closer against to the brick, cracking a pipe, children play here. Animals die and waterfalls of wall to wall, becoming some a daydream, pretty serene seem like dumb ideas and learn not a glass bottom boat. Watch for your step, you're being followed.
The echo echoes through this special vessel of heaven's levels, intersecting and connecting with the collection of the devil's space, reflecting pebbles, taste impeccably numb, tongue tingle, wrinkled stars fold the boldly warm forms, a kaleidoscopic way.
An immaculate world of me with a mouthful of palm. Meanwhile, soul's been thinking out loud so long he can almost touch, leaving no tone unturned, and renewing the noise, aesthetic void of half truth. In honor of the solitary songbird plucked up of a pen and pretense, I'm humming the ugliest honesty I know. Anarchy smoothed out, and they are indeed.
Well, if monsters could talk and if time recorded itself in civilization, sunsets would be an album of bare photos. Take what you want, or will it make its mind for you? And an age-old expose and page fold an open book.
Circuit for disruption, searching for my nothing, looking toward the button to turn off the horizon. Sweeter than the ocean, now open for discussion, crushed inside emotion, just and realize.
On a clear day I can spell forever F-A-I, and already forcing misappropriation of the concept, like the quixotic paradox of Curious George in the alphabet. For every pack of wild apes, a flag and a dripping tongue.
Out on the range, and everybody's been reorganized. Science don't live here, there are no signs to read from. Eyes blinking, seasons are relative to a smack in the face. Let there be light and clarity and participants.
Particles of starving souls hardly hold a hearty hold in this carnival. The sharpie bow won't carve a hole in the artist's rose. It starts to pull apart your skull. Your card gets pulled, you lose control, confused and broke. Now the downfall is all you know.
I'm newly enamored of nascent euphoria, naked epiphanies, making up for the same half-truth, half-truth. These book reports of 19th century French utopias always end up in eulogies anyway. I mean, don't you?
Lead, guttural, firma, mint, 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 lead, guttural, firma, mint.
Curiouser and curiouser. Monkey-made monolith, albeit not perfect. Still the heavens quivered, the windmill wept, wings flapped, lights flashed, and parking meters blinked. And somehow we stumbled into this repeat.
Channel can't change, always in the front. Can't see nobody waving goodbye or hello. Something that's lovely is invincible. All hail, falling all about manage and pick apart. Architect a texture when the birds dive and buildings of earth. It's a cave, a plastic bubble, magnifying the earth ain't dying. Welcome to a historical abortion in the making. This place could have been a painting if its denizens are more in touch with the most advanced means of perpetuation. This world is a castle. Everything here is vanished from dimensions that people don't even have emotions for. Everything that you see is an entirely different form as the person that came before. Enjoy this moment, stay here and sing it somewhere else. Never leave this split up until you go against the brain. And if the picture breaks, live inside the positive space.
And low, living naked without interactivity. We hold each other said, but for massively sin. Have we found the absolute, or just a wide empty? Love is truly human, doubt is animal crew. Ballerina of serendipity, accompanied by the tin pans. I'm a brand with the cabin stance, banged upon a pantheistic beautification, pan to find me definition for defiance, simultaneity, continuity, blink dance for no piece about the nature when tame, re-entitled, fate, enter God for every form like faded from the golden rectangle. But somehow my impeccable sense of Greco-Roman architecture led to a column of symmetrical mannequin archetypes, fractioned by 8.
Finally, it's understandable, tangible, touchable, disgustable, aesthetically pleasing instead of combustible perception. When are we leaving? Is it even a question? I'm just a soul-searching merchant serpent on the surface of the reflection that previously and mysteriously fed the perception. Butterflies utter cries, better hide the directions. Otherwise, I'm like wide open for an inspection. Close your eyes, realize this is only conception. The garden lies around the nucleus of artistic expression. Beauty grows like thoughts, wind blows the clock. The hole is now a rock, so close up the dock. Take a seat and study today's lessons in depth and visit the caves of freedom's redemption. Oh, how exquisite these rays of sun unintentionally bundle the inner optimism's extension. I love this dimension.